The first thing our hero did after being reborn was to reverse every single one of his skills. This was all because he'd obtained the Mirror World system, a power that could invert the effects of any professional skill. When dimensional gates opened across the world, countless monsters from another realm invaded human cities. Any human who came into contact with these dungeons could awaken a professional class. Humanity then relied on legions of these class holders to conquer the dungeons. And our main character was the captain of one such legion, a hero who had annihilated countless dungeons and even stepped foot into the most dangerous SSS rank dungeon of all. But the joy of victory was short-lived, replaced by the sting of betrayal. The Imperial royal family feared our hero's power. A class holder that strong could easily shatter the social order, and an SSS rank hero like him was the most dangerous threat of all. Luo Wei, the man who had fought through life and death with him, the comrade our hero trusted to watch his back, secretly poisoned his armor. As Luo Wei's cold voice echoed in his ears, and the images of his fallen teammates blurred, our hero's consciousness began to fade. In his moment of crisis, the Mirror World system activated, and his soul sank deep into a river. He slept there for 66 years, until this very day, when a young boy was being tied up by bullies on the riverbank. Finally, they threw the boy into the river. Why? Why do they always bully me? Before he died, the boy's hatred awakened our hero. In the next second, his soul possessed this new body. The entire surface of the river began to glow, and the bullies were immediately spooked into running away. Because at that moment, a new dungeon had unexpectedly appeared. A new dungeon was not something they could handle. Only one of them, a kid with glasses, hesitated for a moment. He gritted his teeth, wanting to go back and save the boy, but by the time he reached the riverbank, the dungeon had already fully formed. A second later, monsters began pouring out of the dungeon. Our newly awakened hero prepared to use a killer move. But instead, a beam of green light shot down, healing the monster. This made Four Eyes think our hero was an idiot for actively giving HP to a monster. The MC looked at his system interface in deep thought. He had almost forgotten that this wasn't his real body. Logically speaking, every person who comes into contact with a dungeon would be bound to the system and receive their first professional class. His previous class was a warrior, focused on pushing his attributes to their absolute limit. He seemed to remember using a skill called Reverse Mirror right before he died. After that, he was trapped in the mirror world until he heard the boy's screams. So it seemed he had been resurrected by borrowing the boy's body, but the original owner's body was incredibly weak. What's more, it had awakened a support class, which specialized in assisting others. In all other aspects, it was inferior to a combat class. Our hero's eyes continued to scan the system interface. Maybe these skills could have some effect. He tried using one on a monster, but the system reported a failure. Then, he tried again on his reflection in the water. This time, the system didn't report a failure, but instead notified him that his current level was too low. This confirmed what our hero was thinking. Reverse Mirror could only be activated by using a reflective surface. So, the hero aimed at the reflection on the monster's weapon. The system once again reported level insufficient. Just as the kid with the glasses could no longer hold out, a beam of light shot up from the ground, and a massive figure began to appear. An elite monster had appeared. Four Eyes was overcome with despair, because a monster like this would require at least a level 10 class holder to deal with. It seemed they were definitely going to die this time. Our hero appeared right after and used the reverse mirror skill on Four Eyes' shield. *ping, cannot reverse another person's skill. The hero immediately understood. He instantly switched his target to one of his own skills, Vine Control, Reverse Mirror, *ping, skill reversed into Chaotic Thorn Bush. Immediately, countless thorns erupted from the ground, then madly coiled together, blocking the monster's path. And then, a bizarre scene unfolded. The elite monster at the front suddenly saw its eyes glow red before it turned around and lunged at its own kind. Its long claws suddenly tore its fellow monster to shreds. In the next second, the dungeon was filled with Han desperate roars and the sounds of fighting. Four Eyes stared blankly at the scene, completely unable to understand how the guy who was just healing the monsters a moment ago had suddenly caused them to slaughter each other. At this moment, our hero felt a surge of excitement, because the reverse mirror world could completely invert a skill's effect. The original effect of Vine Control was to launch it at an enemy target with a chance of binding them. But after being reversed and enhanced, it became a skill with a guaranteed chance to throw enemies into a state of chaos. Who would have thought that a seemingly useless support skill could display such a miraculous effect after being reversed? When inverted, a glint of vengeance flashes in the protagonist's eyes. So what if it's a support skill? With a mirror world that inverts all things, not only can he slaughter his way through this dungeon, but he can also make those who betrayed him pay the price in blood. Our hero then activates the inversion of his basic attack skill, instantly unlocking the inverted skill, Trickster's Blade. For every point of mana consumed, his own attack power is increased by 10%. He picks up the weapon dropped by a monster, then uses the burst of experience points from an elite monster to level up. This creates a perfect cycle, because every time he levels up, his mana points are automatically refilled. And with his mana bar full, the protagonist continues to use the skill, Chaotic Thorns. The system announces that the effect of Trickster's Blade has been successfully activated, increasing his attack power by 10%. 2 minutes later, his attack power has soared to 120%. At this point, he only needs a single strike to easily execute an elite monster. Standing beside him, Four Eyes is completely stunned. Is this skillful fighter really the same Yunche who was always getting bullied? Just then, a sudden change occurs as a massive explosion erupts from underground and a single claw breaks through the earth. The system announces that the final boss has appeared. This was somewhat outside of the protagonist's expectations. This brand new type of dungeon is guarded by a level 21 hidden boss. Our hero decides to probe the enemy's strength. As he launches his attack, the system displays a notification. The target is immune to Chaotic Thorns. Four Eyes immediately springs to his feet, blocking the protagonist with his shield. This reminds him of his old comrades. They used to protect him from behind, even at the cost of their own lives. But Four Eyes' shield is fundamentally unable to block the lion's powerful attack. His entire body is sent flying into the distance before crashing hard onto the ground. The protagonist rushes over to heal him, only to discover that the original owner's recovery skill is incredibly weak. He consumes a ton of power, only to restore a tiny sliver of health. He can only tell Four Eyes to hang on. He will try to finish off all the monsters within 1 minute. The protagonist's gaze turns serious as he frantically harvests experience points from the mobs. After the duration of Trickster's Blade ends, his energy is successfully restored to full. The protagonist calculates that, to defeat a level 21 boss, he needs to increase his attack power by at least 400%. But the Trickster's Blade can only be maintained for 1 minute at most. After some quick math, he realizes he must use Chaotic Thorns 40 times within that period. So, our hero hurriedly continues to stack his buffing skill. And in an instant, his level shoots up to 12. At the same time, his attack power skyrockets to 510%. He then immediately leaps forward, swinging his blade. He first pierces through the boss's giant paw, then unleashes 10 light slashes onto the monster's back. In an instant, the boss lets out an agonized cry and collapses to the ground. Witnessing this, Four Eyes is rooted to the spot in absolute shock. A mere level 5 support class just single-handedly wiped out the final boss of this dungeon instance. Four Eyes rushes over and asks the protagonist how he became so incredibly powerful. Our hero just looks at him without answering, and instead asks what his relationship is to him. When he learns that this Four Eyes is the nephew of his old comrade, the protagonist is stunned. But weren't all his familiar comrades murdered by Luo Wei? Could it be that there were other survivors? And to think that rotten punk from back then actually managed to have descendants of his own. Four Eyes changes the subject, urging our hero that it's best to return to school, because that afternoon, the school is organizing a trip to the Modern History Museum. Not long after, the protagonist looks at everything around him and sighs with emotion. After sleeping for more than half a century, the world has completely changed. But there was something else that caught him by surprise. Normally, only items dropped by monsters could be taken out of a dungeon, like the dragon bone ring on his hand. They can be taken out through the item inventory, which facilitates trading between class users. But things that cannot be put into storage should have vanished after the dungeon boss was defeated. Yet in this world, the magical aura from the dungeon can be seen everywhere. Could it be that some massive change occurred after I died? The protagonist's figure soon appears at the Modern History Museum. But as the guide is introducing the museum, our hero's entire body suddenly freezes. The statue sculpted before him is none other than Luo Wei, the supreme ruler of the kingdom and the emperor who ended the dungeon cataclysm. Back then, this emperor led an expedition into an SSS-rank dungeon, only to be murdered on the spot by a traitor. But at that time, the young Prince Luo Wei endured his heartbreak and took command to quell the rebellion. Hearing this version of history leaves the protagonist in utter shock. Luo Wei, that inhuman traitor, has somehow become the savior of the world in everyone's eyes. Meanwhile, the true hero himself has been branded a traitor for the ages, despised by all. And what confuses him even more is, who the hell is this Ding Kun? Back then, you wouldn't have even heard his name mentioned among the pro guilds. Just then, a familiar voice rang out from behind. Van Triet, you worthless piece of trash, you're still alive? Seeing that our hero and Q Tri were still alive, the thug, Din Hook, and his lackeys had surrounded them. His arm was slung possessively over Q Tri's shoulder. Well, look who's lucky to be alive, but you two almost got us killed in that secret dungeon, so how should we settle this? Q Tri tried to retort, but Din Hook shot him a threatening glare. Open your eyes and take a good look. That traitor, Q On, being stomped under the hero's foot. That's your great-grandfather. So, as the descendant of the traitor Q On, do you really think anyone is going to help you? With that, Din Hook climbed up high and shouted, no one can ever defeat my great-grandfather, Din Kon. The surrounding students immediately erupted. Din Hook's great-grandfather is the hero who put down the traitors. But now, the descendant of a traitor dares to come here and insult a hero? The murmuring crowd brought a teacher over. He told Q Tri to hurry up and apologize to Din Hook. Years ago, the hero chose to spare the Q family, so Q Tri should be eternally grateful for Din Hook's mercy. Q Tri's humiliation was about to boil over, but Din Hook just smugly patted his head. Forget talking. Even if I beat you senseless right here, nobody would help you, because you're nothing but an unwanted stray dog. Just as he was about to punch Q Tri in the face, a figure suddenly flashed in, followed by a loud thwack. Caught completely off guard, Din Hook was sent sprawling. Our hero stood there, his eyes ice cold. Didn't your heroic family have time to teach this little punk some manners? This left everyone on the scene in total shock. Has Van Triet gone insane today? He just attacked the descendant of a hero in public, and he's just a level 5 support. Isn't he afraid Din Hook will beat him to death? Din Hook scrambled to his feet, absolutely furious. He waved his lackeys forward, but in our hero's eyes, these guys were just a bunch of small fry. Slow as snails, our hero took them down one by one, each with a single punch. In just a few seconds, he'd beaten them all senseless. The final assault was reserved for Din Hook. A rain of fists came pouring down. Din Hook activated his berserk skill, increasing his attack power by 25%. He couldn't believe that he, of all people, was being beaten stupid in public by a guy famous for being worthless. With that thought, he gripped his Huo Duan Chui weapon and swung it at our hero. But our hero easily dodged it. Then, a precise uppercut exploded right under his chin. Din Hook could only choke out one phrase, "How is this possible?" And then he passed out on the spot. At this point, the teacher finally reacted. The old man scolded our hero, saying it wasn't enough to insult a hero. Today you even dare to attack a hero's descendant in public. Truly shameless. With that, the old man raised his hand and summoned his staff. Our hero also waved his hand, revealing the bone ring. A second later, a purple phantom image appeared on the spot. The moment the staff hit the phantom, it shattered in two. This made the old man's expression change drastically. Fear gripped his heart. What kind of equipment did our hero possess that could block his attack? Our hero slowly opened his mouth to answer. Teacher, you claim to be fair, yet you only listen to that punk Din Hook's side of the story. Or are you just trying to suck up to the hero's family? Our hero's words hit a nerve. The old man could only pretend to be calm and said that he would investigate the matter thoroughly. Because he still had no idea what kind of equipment our hero had, he figured. Our hero must have some powerful backing. Our hero glanced at the damage on the bone ring. This was only an epic grade item, dropped by a level 21 Tomb Lord boss. Against a level 35 teacher, it was obviously not enough. Then, our hero waved his hand dismissively and prepared to leave. If that's the case, then just consider my punishment an expulsion. And with that, he left with Q Tri. At this point, everyone still wore expressions of disbelief. Was this really the same worthless Van Triet they all knew? He faced down a teacher without a shred of fear. After leaving the museum, our hero's expression grew grim. Q Tri's great-grandfather was once our hero's brother-in-arms, but now he was branded a traitor, just like him. It seemed the families of his old comrades were finding it difficult to survive. Then, our hero turned to Q Tri and said that he wasn't very good at history. So, could he tell him about the hero, Din Kon? Q Tri immediately and excitedly started explaining. He said, legend has it that years ago, Din Khon was betrayed by the traitor Van Triet and had to set up an ambush near the SSS rank secret dungeon. Only then did he resolve the crisis brought on by the rebellion. Not only that, he also resolved the great catastrophe of Lamdong City and the flowing cloud sword. On that statue is said to be the divine weapon that destroyed the traitor Van Triet. Our hero clenched his fists. Those bastards had planned this from the very beginning. He was the one who quelled the great catastrophe of Lamdong City in a bloodbath, and even that so-called flowing cloud sword was his own personal blade. Killing intent surged in our hero's eyes, and his heart was set on getting revenge on the first name on his list. Din Khon, since it's come to this, I'll start settling the score with you. At the same time, outside the academy. Just outside, a group of guards was patrolling the area. Suddenly, one of them whipped his head around, his wary gaze sweeping in their direction. This forced the two hiding in the corner to hold their breath. Qiu clutched his chest and said, "We should really get out of here. There are so many guards here. Even if we manage to sneak in, Din Hook would definitely recognize us when he gets back." The main character truly wanted to tear Din Khon to shreds right then and there, but according to Qiu, Din Khon had been staying in a high-level secret realm for a long time. To get in, you need an access pass. So that guy Din Hook, being a descendant, is bound to have one. So, our protagonist turned and asked Qiu, does their family really need this many bodyguards? Aren't they just one of over a dozen of Din Khon's descendants? Qiu replied, but at the end of the day, they're still the children of heroes, and on top of that, they have a private dungeon right in their home. Van Triet turned in surprise and asked, a dungeon? Inside their house? He responded, that's right. Nowadays, all the low-level dungeons have long been bought up by private individuals. But if you don't have some power and influence, you wouldn't dare to buy one even if you could. Din Hook always has his guards with him, so he can kill monsters and level up whenever he wants. But for normal students like us, the only place we can find monsters is in the school's dungeon, and even then, we often get robbed. Van Triet seethed, his voice dripping with resentment. This era has really changed for the worse. Doesn't this just mean the more money and power you have, the higher your level gets? Qiu agreed, that's just how it is. By the time a normal person graduates from high school, they're usually between level 15 and 20. And after leaving school, many people can't get access to dungeons, so they're stuck at that level for the rest of their lives. If they're lucky enough to get a job related to dungeons, like a miner or a ranger in a national dungeon, then by the time they reach middle age, they might hit level 30 or so. As for Din Hook's guards, since they can enter his private dungeon, their levels are probably around 30. As for higher levels, generally only those recruited by the military or official organizations, like guilds, academies, or the army, can enter higher-level dungeons and reach even higher levels. So if we want to get stronger, an access pass is essential. That's why we should just go back. The level gap is just too big. No matter how skilled you are, you can't be a match for those guards. Van Triet suddenly realized something and muttered, with my current strength, it's nowhere near enough to kill that hero, let alone the top brass of that bastard King Luo Wei. However, scouting skills are usually learned around level 30, and they're typically small range abilities, things like Eagle Eye, Enhanced Hearing, or Summon Spirit Rat. But those aren't enough to cover the entire area around the house at all times. Besides, this isn't some life or death dungeon, so most of the guards are probably much lazier. So, if we want to get in, it's more than possible, Qiu asked helplessly. Lazy? Where do you see them being lazy? Van Triet thought to himself that, compared to scouting for blind spots in high-level dungeons in his past life, this was much, much easier. He continued, and even if we do get in, this is a private dungeon. If someone were to be killed inside, there'd be no repercussions. What's the point of? Before he could finish, Van Triet grabbed him by the collar and lifted him up. He asked Qiu, don't you want to change your life? Qiu replied, of course I do, but that's only if I can get into a guild. And then, Van Triet cut in. And once you're in a guild, will things really change? Qiu, the grandson of the traitor Qiu An. Huh? Hearing this, Qiu looked sad and confused, not knowing what to do. Van Triet said, your destiny can only be changed by what you do right now. At the very least, I'm not passing up the dungeon right in front of us. You decide for yourself if you're coming with me or not. Qiu was utterly conflicted, mixed with a hint of fear, unsure of what to decide. He thought to himself, I can't just let him walk to his death. Van Triet raised a hand, signaling him and whispering, He quickly surmised that there were no traces of any summoning-type scouting skills on this side. Van Trier carefully observed everything and realized that as long as they kept their voices down, they'd be fine. He grabbed Kyochi and vaulted over the high wall, thinking they could easily escape their line of sight. Seizing the right moment, they slipped inside with ease. Kyochi said in astonishment, We actually made it in." Before Kyochi's eyes was a strange sight. He stammered, What is that?" "It's a hazy space with a purple glow," Van Trier replied. "An underground dungeon. This one's a bit higher level than the last one. But there aren't too many monsters, because Din Hook's family clears it out regularly. There are only 2 small fry over there. Go and give it a try." Kyochi clicked his tongue and shot back. "Me? Fight them? There's no way I can win. You go first." He takes a step, but a yokai lunges at him anyway. Kyochi screams, "And to think we actually trusted you." He yells while grappling with it. "If I knew it would be like this, I never would have come." Kyochi uses his feeble strength to fight off the yokai's counterattacks. He screams, "I want to go home." Van Trier, watching from the sidelines, taunts him. "Why don't you try fighting back for a change?" He snaps back. "How am I supposed to get a chance to fight back? You promised that as long as you were here, nothing bad would happen." The level 6 shield bearer, Kyochi, crouches down and observes carefully. Using the shield in his hand, he suddenly charges forward, landing a powerful counter on the yokai. Another yokai rushes in to attack Kyochi from behind. Thanks to his incredible innate senses, Kyochi immediately spins around, bringing his shield up to block. Leaning against a rock and observing, Van Trier thinks to himself that the kid's natural talent is indeed quite good. It's just that he's so timid and prone to panic that he only dares to play defensively. But his subconscious judgment of spatial positioning is incredibly precise. By constantly keeping an eye on the dangers around him, he hasn't lost a single drop of health. A desperate cry rings out, "Bon Bon, I can't hold them off much longer." So many people stop moving forward, simply because they don't have enough courage to challenge themselves. He's finally taken his first steps. Kyochi speaks up. "Huh? Did I just level up?" Van Trier explains that experience points are distributed based on contribution. If you don't throw them off balance, then even if I'm the one who finishes them off, you won't get much of the experience share. He suddenly thinks, but his movements seem a little too agile, don't they? Van Trier breaks the silence, asking, "How are your attribute points increasing?" Kyochi replies, "Besides, spirit, everything else is increasing evenly." He asks, "Don't shield bearers normally increase their agility points?" He answers, "If you don't, it'll be hard to find a party at school." Van Trier explains that no one wants to wait for a slow shield bearer, because all the monsters will just get stolen by other people. You need to think more long-term. After level 60, class advancements have specific attribute requirements. For example, the Fortress class requires 60 stamina and 90 defense points, so you can't just allocate them randomly. Kyochi retorts, "A normal person would be lucky to even reach level 40 in their lifetime. How could they possibly think about level 60? That's S-rank territory." Van Trier gently places a hand on his shoulder, as if trying to give him strength. With a serious look in his eyes, he says, "From now on, you can start thinking about S-rank." Van Trier then affirms again, strongly and seriously, "No. You'll go even beyond S-rank." He thinks to himself, "That being said, it's about time I started planning my own class advancement. My class is a support type. I have to rely entirely on my hidden skill, this mirror world, to turn the tables. If nothing unexpected happens, I'll change into." A notification pops up. "You have received a shadow-type monster soul. Skill has gained 2,000 experience points." Van Trier is stunned, thinking, my mirror world can actually level up? A chaotic scene unfolds as a single sword strike slices through a yokai. The blade is so sharp that its head is severed clean off, sending blood spraying everywhere. A notification appears, Trickster's Blade. Attack power increased by 70%. However, the yokai tries to counter, but it's too slow for Van Trier's decisive strike. He says, "You're still not dead?" Another blade of immense power flashes by, and the attack boost vanishes. Van Trier thinks to himself, looks like the duration for Trickster's Blade is over. This type of skill is incredibly powerful, but you can't fight with it for long periods. My own stamina won't last long either. Still, leveling up like this is already way faster than it is for a normal person. The notification panel displays, "Character has received 2,000 experience points." Van Trier thinks to himself, what's more, killing these monsters also accumulates experience for my mirror world. Something unusual seems about to happen. He glances at Van Trier, suddenly slips, and immediately catches himself to avoid making a sound. He suddenly thinks, The Q-Din patrol guards are growing in number. Could they have already detected intruders? Q-Chi chimes in. There are a lot fewer monsters now. If we keep going, the risk is only going to get higher. Van Triet also has a fleeting thought. He's not wrong. While fighting monsters, I have to pay attention to the guards' patrols and also calculate the timing and duration of Trickster's blade. So for me right now, this is pushing my limits. He then thinks about the skill book that just dropped a skill that can create a magic brick from the void. I guess not every reversed skill is meant for combat. Von Triet muses. My mirror world is now about 30% away from its next level. Its new level 1 reversed skill is already ridiculously broken. It'll definitely be even stronger after it levels up. If I can kill the boss of this dungeon, I might even be able to level it straight to level 2. It's not guaranteed that I can increase the skill's experience points in other dungeons. This power. I should still go check out the Lord in the central area. A shadow enveloped the entire space as spiritual beasts gradually appeared. Van Triet thought to himself, summon spirit rat, summon eagle-headed cat. The scouting skills here are getting more and more advanced. He suddenly pressed himself against a large cliff face, as if he had discovered something. A chaotic scene filled with chains hanging from above. Q-Chi spoke up. The Secret Realm's Lord is being restrained here. This is the first time I've ever seen something like this. Van Triet added that the Secret Realm Lord at their school was guarded by teachers, and no one was allowed to get close. Those chains must be very high-grade equipment. He suddenly stood still by the large cliff, deep in thought. There were quite a few guards around. If he attacked the Lord, it would definitely attract even more people. At my current level, there's no way I can kill the Lord while surrounded. Van Triet shot forward, thinking he had to take out the guards first. A notification panel appeared. Blade of Deception. Attack power increased by 150%. Crippled state. He spoke. Next, I'll be asking for information. You'd better answer truthfully. Notmon panicked and begged for his life. Please, don't. Just ask whatever you want to know. I'll tell you anything. The Ding family doesn't pay me enough to die for them. Van Triet watched him silently, muttering, Good, then I can ask about the main issue first. Notmon immediately replied, The pass to the heroic secret realm? There's a whole pile of them in the old master's room. It's not a rare item at all. He muttered to himself. This kid must be a huge fan of the heroic old master to be this worked up. It seems you don't believe me, Notmon shouted. It's true. I've seen them several times. The passes are from the old master's study. He's currently out with the captain of the guards. But those are just temporary passes, with no personal information entered yet. If you don't have an acquaintance to escort you, you'll definitely be interrogated. Van Triet flared up, growling. That's none of your concern. First, take everything out of your system inventory. He then dragged the man out of the secret realm and into the Ding family's main courtyard. Van Triet questioned him, Is that really the only incantation skill book you have on you? Notmon replied, I really don't have any more. The Ding family is very stingy. Basically, anything that drops in the secret realm has to be turned in. We only get a few scraps. The good stuff is all kept inside the main house. A system panel appeared. Light of baptism, moonlight's descent. The man said, Over there is the inside of the Ding family's main house. Without a summons, us guards normally can't enter. Because in the Ding family, apart from the young Ding Hook, everyone is level 30 or higher, and their equipment is top tier. They don't really need us for protection, to be honest. Van Triet asked, So if I get inside, I can get the pass, right? The man objected. No, the head of the family is in there. A map appeared in his mind, showing the house, the main courtyard, and the Lord's secret realm. Notmon continued, That mustached guy is level 42. If you run into him, you definitely won't be able to win. The old master and the third master are both over level 50, but they're out on business. If you run into them when they return, it'll be even more dangerous. Van Triet thought, Going into the house means facing a family head who's many levels higher than me. Notmon was now unconscious. He called out, Q-Chi. As if he had a plan, Van Triet ordered Q-Chi. You stay here, he thought to himself. In that case, I just need to lure him out. Inside the secret realm, just outside the Lord's area, large, long chains hung from above. Van Triet pondered. Using high-level chains to restrain the Lord. If the Lord doesn't die, the secret realm won't disappear. That's why it's so important that they've posted guards to watch the lock. This method is indeed very careful, but the premise for this kind of caution is that no one wants to die trying to unlock it. He rushed forward and silenced the guard, thinking, the level of these iron chains. I was already used to using them in my past life. A loud noise erupted, and people around began to chatter. What's going on? What happened? Van Triet gripped the chains, thinking, To make the family head run out of the house, this method is absolutely perfect. People around shouted, "What's happening? Why has the Lord suddenly broken free?" Outside the secret realm, Uncle Lamb yelled, "Stop dawdling, get into the secret realm and provide support, move in." All the guards outside the secret realm scrambled to get inside. Van Triet thought. Level 60 equipment. Acquired. In the grand courtyard of the Ding family, at the entrance to the main house's gate, a butler bowed and opened the door to welcome them. "Welcome back, second young master and young master." Ding Hook, his face covered in bandages, spoke irritably. "It's nothing serious. Why is he here to greet him? I just let my guard down for a moment, and that bastard Van Triet." Ding Hao replied with a blank expression. "Greeting you was just a convenience." Then, the butler bowed low with a fawning smile. "Miss Van Za, please, step out of the car." She and Van Am disembarked majestically and walked inside. With an elegant and confident stride, Ding Hao extended a hand forward. But before he could even speak, Qiao Li bowed low. "Welcome to our humble establishment." Ding Hao's brow furrowed, his face twisting in disgust. He swiftly drove his boot right into the man's stomach. Ding Hao's voice dropped. "Don't just stand there blocking the way." He then followed the other three inside, leaving Qiao Li collapsed on the ground. From a distance, Qiao Ji froze, having witnessed the entire scene. Yun Che rushed down, asking suspiciously, "What's going on? Did you hold back because you saw the Ding family leaving?" Seeing his rigid expression, he walked over and asked, "What's with that look on your face?" Qiao Ji turned and replied, "How did you get over there so fast?" Yun Che explained clearly, "That thing is a secret realm's lord, after all. Even at level 30, it's hard to capture alive, so there's no need to cause a scene. They won't be able to recapture it within half an hour." "Ah, but what was it you saw?" Qiao Ji glanced into the distance, his voice choked with emotion. "That man." He was bowing low, taking a scolding from his superior. His voice was tinged with sadness. "That's his youngest uncle. Back when Yun Jie rebelled, his entire clan was annihilated at that time. But even so, he shouldn't have to face those people and endure such humiliation. Ever since then, the Qiao family has constantly suffered under the Empire's oppression. Furthermore, under the shady command of the hero, Ding Kun, the bullying has only grown more and more severe. In the end, we could only become servants to the Ding family, occasionally dragged out to showcase the hero family's power and kindness. For the Qiao family to survive, we can only watch the Ding family's expressions, bowing and scraping, just barely hanging on. His parents originally wanted to change things, but as a result, his father lost his mind and went insane. And his uncle has become nothing more than the Ding family's dog." Qiao Ji clenched his hands into fists. "Was it really right for me to come here?" After hearing his story, Yun Che strode forward, his voice resolute. "I'm going into the house." Qiao Ji jumped in shock. "Ding Shu's father is in there right now. He's level 42 and fully geared. If he finds you, you're dead for sure." Yun Che stood tall, his voice firm. "In an era where secret realms are controlled like this, if you're not willing to take risks, there's no hope of changing your situation. Besides, if you're always hesitant, you'll never achieve anything." "Qiao Ji, I can help you change things, but first, you have to make a choice for yourself. I choose to fight, but I won't force you." Qiao Ji's face paled, and he answered with a tremble, "But they're a great clan, with power that can shake the world. Can we really stand against them?" Yun Che got into a ready stance, his voice unwavering. "What I intend to confront." He instantly shot forward, leaving the dazed man behind, as his voice echoed back, "Is this entire empire?" He shot straight from the forest into the house, leaving behind a dazzling streak of light and a swirling gust of wind. In the living room, Ding Hao leisurely sipped his tea. How did the secret realm's lord manage to break free? Yun Sa dodged his previous question. "Is he any trouble?" "She can always visit another day." Ding Hao waved his hand and replied fawningly, "No need, my big brother can handle it. How can a tiny secret realm be more important than you, Miss Yun Sa? Besides, after hearing that you were willing to visit, my father and third uncle are already on their way back home, so we have more than enough manpower to handle the problem. Also, I've already contacted Hero Jia. He's very eager to meet you, you know." Quietly hiding behind the railing, Yun Che sank into thought. Hero Jia. Is that Hero Ding Kun? I remember that to enter a hero's secret realm, you need a pass and a guide. And judging by her treatment, her status must be quite high. Yun Sa. Her surname is Yun, just like mine. What a coincidence. For now, I need to focus on getting that pass. Yun Sa glanced up at the corridor, as if sensing something. Two maids walked in, chattering amongst themselves. After the two had left, he stealthily stepped out, his wary eyes scanning the area. Hiding his face, revealing only his sharp eyes, Yunche gently pushed the door open and slipped inside, shrouded in an inscrutable mystery. Inside that room, warm sunlight filtered through every corner, illuminating countless bookshelves and creating a peaceful atmosphere. Outside the secret realm, in the large courtyard of the Ding estate, Ding Yi and the others emerged, having finally subdued the secret realm's lord. Someone intentionally released it, but there's no sign of anyone now. Taking such a huge risk can't just be for a single piece of high-grade equipment. He pointed and ordered, his shrill voice ringing out, "Surround the house first." She agreed to come as our guest, so we cannot allow her to be disturbed for any reason. He rummaged through the study, searching for something important. Nothing. Weren't they supposed to have a whole pile of them? Suddenly, Yunche's hand flashed with a faint light, and a system notification sounded. You have used the skill, Deconstruction. It can dematerialize physical objects, the size of a brick, with a duration of 4 seconds. He pulled open a drawer, and a lone, yellow diary appeared. Van Triet picked it up, a look of surprise on his face. It was a diary. These were all high-quality skill books. Deceleration Light Skill Book. Slows enemy units by 20% within 20 meters. Classes: Priest. Support Mage. In the main courtyard of the Din family estate, at the entrance to the inner gate, a large crowd had surrounded the area. Kyochi's face darkened as he hid behind a tree. Why are all the guards running in this direction? Don't tell me they've already found us? Just as I thought, this is too dangerous. More and more guards are showing up. Van Triet, if you don't get out now, you won't have a chance to escape. If I don't escape now and they find me, they'll just have another excuse to come after us. A woman clutched her child amidst the rubble as people fled in a panic. The Din family's men were slaughtering everyone in their path. He clenched his fists. I should just leave quietly. At least I can save myself. But then, Kyochi recalled Van Triet's words. You can help him change, but first, you have to make a choice for yourself. After a moment of deep thought, Kyochi quickly made his decision. He let out a piercing scream. The scream drew the guards' attention, and they alerted their comrades. Kyochi yelled as he ran. The guards chased after him relentlessly. He told himself, Van Triet, I'll draw them away. You absolutely cannot let them find you. Behind his mask, the corner of Van Triet's mouth curled into a smirk. So, it seems he managed to overcome his fear and chose to fight after all. The chains and the skill books are with him. If you've got the guts, come and get them. The guards were furious, and one of them roared, After him! Deceleration Light. Costs 50 mana with a duration of 60 seconds. Slowing enemy units within a 20-meter radius by 20%. With his nimble movements, Van Triet decisively leaped down. Acceleration, Light, 50 mana cost, 60-second duration. It increases the speed of allied units within a 30-meter radius by 30%. Din Ingak, he shouted ahead. Team 2, Team 3, fall back and protect the Mystic Realm Lord. He's not running away, he's heading for the Mystic Realm. Hearing this, Kyochi was stunned. Why is he leading everyone back in the other direction? Van Triet glanced over. All the guards had been drawn out. The Mystic Realm Lord must have been subdued by now. If the Lord was subdued, there must have been a massive battle. That means the Lord's health must be at its lowest point right now. Killing it will allow the mirror world to level up. In contrast to the chaos outside, the guest room was strangely quiet. Van Sa gently lifted his teacup. The commotion outside is quite significant. You really don't need to stay here to entertain me. Din Hao replied with a scornful tone. It's just a petty thief. My big brother is handling it, so everything will be fine. Din Ingak shoved his way through, screaming, Get out of my damn way. Their speed was too slow. Charge straight for the Lord. Rangers and archers, follow me and chase that intruder. Van Triet glanced back slightly. Din Nok was closing in fast. He silently calculated in his mind. Every class gets 3 extra points upon leveling up, and I've put half of those points into agility. Plus, I have the speed boost from my bonus skills. Within the first 30 levels, usually only archers and rangers can keep up with me. From his high vantage point, Van Triet observed the sealed lord and the dense crowd of guards surrounding it. Seeing this, he fell into thought. Is the lord sealed here because they're afraid someone will try to kill it? Just as I thought, it really is at its weakest right now. If I just use my maximum power, I can destroy it instantly. The men shouted when they saw Van Triet. He's here, form up. The guards quickly fell into neat rows. Each row consisted of a different combat class. Van Triet activated his Chaotic Thorn skill, and thorny purple vines shot straight ahead. One of them had a panicked look on his face. What kind of skill is this? Another one chimed in. How come I've never seen it before? A masked guard explained. It's a skill that inflicts abnormal status effects. Humans don't have the same resistance to status effects as monsters, so there's no way we'll be hit that easily. He slammed his scepter into the ground, and the earth immediately erupted, sending the guards flying. Someone screamed in panic. Look out, someone's been hit. Impossible. The status effect probability for this skill can't be right. Wielding his dagger, Van Triet swiftly cut through the guards. With his agile movements, he broke through the next line. The more people there are, at this rate, I can reach the low health beast. A large number of them were hit by the skill. The area descended into chaos, filled with endless screams. He's broken through. Where are the control skills? Why aren't the tanks blocking him? Don't use that skill on our own people. Van Triet glanced at them with contempt. What a disorganized mob. They don't have a shred of combat experience. Have they lost it all after being at peace for so long? The shield-bearing soldier said in a steady voice. Hold the line. He's only one person. Never mind. During the fight, a stream of blue light shot towards him, but Van Triet instantly dodged it. The soldiers' voices were filled with confidence, certain that if they just surrounded him, he was as good as dead. Din Ngak quickly caught up and gave an order to his men. You lot, hold him steady. Din Ngak quickly equipped his armor, his voice booming with authority. Let me be the one to finish him. Din Ngak raised his axe, his entire body bursting into flames as he unleashed his skill. The blazing charge aimed straight for Van Triet's back. As he parried the shield soldier's attacks, he shot them a provocative glare. Come on. Then, Van Triet's sharp eyes flashed. He wore an incredibly smug look on his face. This is good. Although my level isn't high enough to wield it, I can't just use it for a simple stat boost. Besides, its durability is level 60. Din Ngak hurled a massive fireball toward him, but Van Triet swiftly blocked the attack. He secretly calculated that he could borrow the massive impact force to shatter the seal. As if he'd found the crucial point, Van Triet aimed directly at the Lord's chains. Here it comes, he said, his voice a mix of gratitude and mockery. Thanking him for the help, a vein bulged on Din Ngak's forehead as he snarled, You dare? Van Triet landed several slashes on the creature. I'll be taking that Lord's EXP, thank you. After a fierce battle, victory was his. Fragments of the Lord's body flew everywhere. A series of system notifications chimed. Level up by 3, character information, spellcasting level 20, high spirit, superior agility, 9 free points to distribute. The Mirror World skill has increased to level 2. Mirror World experience bar is full. Upgrade complete. Din Ngak was absolutely furious. His face twisted in rage as he charged at Van Triet, screaming, You bastard! He stood before the Lord's corpse as Din Ngak and his men charged forward to capture him. Van Triet initiated an action. Directly on the system interface, he pressed the Use button on the system panel, activating the Mirror World skill. Level 2. Din Ngak swung with all his might towards Van Triet's position, but he had already vanished, leaving behind a purple streak. He and his soldiers were completely bewildered, with no idea what had just happened. Did we fail? Inside the Mirror World, Van Triet gradually materialized in a hazy, reflective space. He looked at the blue figures, wondering to himself, what are these things? Van Triet glanced at the system. Time remaining for mirror walk. 29 minutes and 51 seconds. A flicker of surprise crossed his face. The world inside the mirror? Van Triet had suddenly appeared in the mirror world, looking around curiously at the surrounding spirits. So, this is the world inside the mirror? No wonder it's an inversion of the real world. But these guardians seem to be just illusions. He reached out his hand to touch the crystals lying on the cold ground. Van Triet picked up a crystal shard and remarked, This isn't an illusion. I can actually take it out of here? So, after this skill reached level 2, I can enter the mirror world and take things with me? Does that mean the system has changed as well? A status list immediately appeared. He was taken aback. What are these skills? Van Triet reached out to activate them. The skills were still locked, unable to be activated. The system panel displayed a message, Base skill, not yet learned. He began to ponder. It seems what's displayed here are inverted versions of all my skills. I just have to learn the base skills in reality to activate these. The level 1 skill inversion was just a fraction of the function. A stripped-down version of the level 2 ability. Looks like I can pre-select powerful skill combinations I want to learn first. I'd better start planning for my next class advancement. Suddenly, Van Triet whipped his head around, staring in horror at the hovering illusions. Souls. He realized that other souls could also exist here. Those souls were transforming into dangerous entities. Van Triet concluded, So they've turned into soul monsters? He quickly drew his weapon. He slashed repeatedly at its body. Van Triet's gaze was cold and resolute. Doesn't seem too strong. Suddenly, a golden light flashed, surprising him. The system announced a necro contract. You can sign a contract. Can be brought out of the mirror world. Van Triet was shocked. A contract? So after defeating a spirit, I can claim it as a summon and bring it to the outside world? He focused, processing the new information. It's not just the crystals. It seems the level 2 mirror world allows me to bring items and even spirits out into reality. Van Triet glanced around. A thrill of excitement running through him. How interesting. Elsewhere, soldiers were lying in ambush. The dungeon has vanished. Why hasn't that guy appeared yet? How could he just vanish into thin air? Is it some hidden skill of the Wanderer class? Another man replied, while spinning his blade. That's impossible. Even our stealth skills have a physical presence and a time limit. They wouldn't be completely undetectable. Hearing this, Din Ngak flew into a rage and grabbed his subordinate by the head. Then you tell me why. How could so many of you let him get away? If you can't find him, you'll be the one to pay for this dungeon. While he was venting his fury, Van Triet suddenly appeared, stunning Din Ngak. He spoke up. Looks like my mirror walk time is up. Huh? Will I be sent back to my original spot when I leave? Or are there other conditions? The moment he saw Van Triet appear, his blood boiled, and he roared out a command. Get him, Van Triet calmly conjured a ball of light. Not so fast. After being trapped for so long, I think it's only fair I give you a little thank you gift. Have a taste of my Legion of the Dead. At his command, Din Ngak's soldiers were swarmed by the spirits. Someone screamed, what are these things? Are they demons? He quickly tried to reassure them. Don't panic. They're just a bunch of necro-type monsters. I've seen plenty of these before. But Din Ngak's men were being completely overwhelmed by the undead, unable to hold their ground. One of them noticed their status bars showed they were only level 20. This only infuriated the old man more, as he bellowed. I told you not to panic. Fight back and capture them. Everyone gets a raise. From a distance, Van Triet watched as their morale skyrocketed at the promise of money. And just like that, Van Triet disappeared, leaving them utterly confused. Where did that bastard go? But by then, he was already long gone. He thought to himself, these spirits are still too low level. If I could just get my hands on some higher grade ones, that rabble wouldn't even be a warm-up. The problem is, of all the spirits I can find in here, I've already made contracts with the 20 strongest ones. And the mirror world has a search boundary. After entering, I can only operate within a 200-meter radius. I'll have to find time to explore other parts of the mirror world to see if there are any higher-level spirits out there. Suddenly, Van Triet spotted Kyo Chi in a scuffle down below. At that very moment, he was being hoisted into the air and interrogated. You think you can hide from me? You really think I'd let you slip by? I can't wait to see what kind of reward I'll get for catching you. Just then, Van Triet swooped down, grabbing Kyo Chi and pulling him into a run. His eyes widened in shock, the whole thing happening in a flash. Van Triet yanked Kyo Chi along as they fled. Come on, it's time we went back to check on our earnings. Groups of armored men were locked in a grueling fight with grotesque beast souls in the suffocating space. One of them decisively unleashed an attack, staggering a beast and causing it to erupt in an eerie green light. The system displayed a death notification. Just then, a voice spoke up. These things aren't particularly strong, but how the hell do they keep reviving after we kill them? The man with a bushy beard panted heavily. Arrogantly, Ding Qua sneered. They're just summons. Even if they can revive, it definitely consumes magic points. So, all we have to do is kill them a few more times. Just then, Ding Dan's deep voice interrupted. Is Miss Van Za back yet? Inside the Din estate, Ding Can bowed his head to the old man. I'm sorry, father, he said earnestly. I failed to keep her here. The truth is, the intruder was unbelievably brazen. Not only did he run out of the house screaming, he even smashed a window on his way out. Ding Dan frowned. An intruder got times inside, times the house, and you not only failed to catch him, you don't even know what he looks like? Is this how you do your jobs? He bowed a full 90 degrees in shame. It was my incompetence. However, Miss Van Za did agree to go to the hero's secret realm. At the very least, that means we won't have any issues with the A family. Hearing Ding Qua's report, the old man scoffed. Find out who that intruder was, and make sure you send him to meet his maker. Go and see if anything else was stolen. Meanwhile, in another space, Van Triet was holding a card, a pass that grants entry to mysterious secret realms and other territories. He stared at the card, deep in thought. Even though I have the pass, I still need someone who can get me into the hero's secret realm. But that's not urgent. This time, at Din Hook's place, I leveled up to 20, although the Chimera Bone Ring is basically broken now. but I did manage to get over a dozen of his privately hidden skill books. Van Triet took out a magic skill book. He sensed that chant was a support skill. Learned war chant. Cost, 40 MP. Duration, 60 seconds. Critical hit rate, 65%. Critical damage, 15%. Defense, -20. He pondered this. Conversely, I can use these skills to supplement my own stats. Invert, shield chant. Cost, 40. Duration, 60 seconds. Critical hit rate, -12%. Critical damage taken, -23%. Defense, +30. At that point, I can just rely on my own stats to crush enemies of the same level. Battle Force Drive, a passive skill. Permanent duration, strength +3. The system continuously updated with essential information for the skill. Corrupted Knight Armor. Van Triet observed it meticulously. Also, that leader dropped a piece of equipment earlier. I can probably use it later. And most importantly, I've leveled up the mirror world to level 2. The combat power of the undead summons I've captured has increased significantly, but it's still not enough. Judging by the style of the equipment on that statue, the hero must be at least an S-rank subclass of the Berserker class. I'll need to contract an undead spirit of the same rank and get my own level above 50 before I even have a chance of taking him down. I see. Seeing you just sitting there lost in thought, Kyochi spoke up. Van Triet, they won't be able to catch up to us, right? He glanced over, a sinister smirk playing on his lips. Relax. I lost them, and they didn't see our faces. We're fine. Van Triet tried to reassure him, but Kyochi still felt his heart pounding with anxiety. Van Triet observed his expression. Still feeling uneasy? It's understandable for someone his age. Kyochi, are there any secret realms nearby where a powerful expert has died? He asked, puzzled. A secret realm where an expert died? He replied, that's right. I want to find a higher level secret realm to level up. As for the expert, you'll find out when the time comes. Kyochi pondered for a moment before speaking cautiously. Well, speaking of a secret realm where an expert died, there actually is one. His long, narrow eyes showed a hint of hesitation as he stammered out the words. But that one belongs to the school. We'll never have a chance to sneak in. Hearing Kyochi's explanation, he took the opportunity to think. The school's secret realm has a loophole, huh? In that case, I'll just have to rely on a few special tricks. Kong Lai stared at the rare books in his hand, his eyes wide with disbelief. This is for me? A purple-grade rare skill book, and for his own Wanderer class, no less. He cleared his throat a few times, embarrassed. It seems this kid, Van Triet, really has some powerful backing. Then, he spoke slowly. The school's secret realm can't just be open for anyone at any time. There's no back door. Besides, the realm is only opening soon for graduating students. Generally, underclassmen aren't qualified to participate. However, if you're an exceptionally outstanding student, you could join the expedition. With a teacher's recommendation, I'll do my best to get you that spot. At the same time, inside the school's secret realm, Cat Luong was chattering non-stop. This might be the only chance in my life to enter a realm like this. I have to grind as many monsters as possible. Hearing this, his teammate beside him smirked. If it weren't for the hero's gift, we wouldn't have this chance. He also chimed in, thank you, hero. But Van Triet's eyes seemed to notice something was off. Something's wrong with this secret realm, Kong Lai continued his explanation. This is the hero's secret realm, gifted to our school by the hero himself. Legend has it the hero once fought in here. There might still be traces of him somewhere inside. While everyone was listening intently to the lecture, Kyochi stood timidly in a corner, his face pale and lost in thought. The hero's secret realm. Isn't this where the hero bravely struck down the traitor Q-On? Kyochi glanced at Van Triet hesitantly, his heart pounding with unease. Should I tell Van Triet? Kong Lai reminded them. But remember, the level of this secret realm is very low, so just be mindful of your strength. Tuha, you lead everyone. Hearing him assign the task, he gritted his teeth and complained, then how am I supposed to level up? Kong Lai had no choice but to plead with Tuha. All right, stop complaining. The secret realm is open. Hurry up and go in. He spoke with a scornful tone. Underclassmen are coming too? How annoying. Now I have to babysit 2 pieces of dead weight. Once you're inside, you 2 stay behind me. Don't cause any trouble, you hear? If you get yourselves killed, it's not my problem. As he prepared to enter the portal, Van Triet felt a strange aura. A level 20 to 40 secret realm. Why does it feel so dangerous? The surrounding atmosphere was shrouded in darkness, with mana lingering everywhere inside the hero's secret realm. Suddenly, they gathered in small groups, looking ahead and murmuring amongst themselves. What's that? Van Am and Van Sa are here too? Aren't they underclassmen? Tuha looked at Van Triet and spoke with disgust. See? Those two underclassmen got in as well. It would be great if Van Sa and the others could be transferred to our group. Leading girls gives me more motivation. The more he spoke, the more he drooled with desire. Maybe I could even. Vuong Lam kindly reminded him, Tuha, stop daydreaming. They're probably over level 30. We're the ones who are supposed to be led by them. Besides, don't even think about punching above your weight. Hearing him say that, his mood deflated. I know. I was just kidding. His words said one thing, but his eyes darting towards them said another. He was stunned to see the two girls striding closer. He shyly spoke up, Vansa, I. But the harsh reality was that they didn't even spare him a single glance. Van Triet watched with stunned eyes as the distance between him and her grew shorter and shorter. This person, she was a guest at the Ding family's house. Her status is not low. Why is she coming to me? Does she know the original owner of this body, or is she here to stand up for Ding Huck? Just then, Van Am's sweet voice reached him. Yesterday, at the Memorial Museum, I saw you. Your skills aren't bad, and your voice is very distinctive. Van Triet was taken aback that she would approach him like this, just to strike up a conversation. Van Am's sharp eyes shone brightly, as if they held a soul of their own, able to pick out his voice even amidst the sound of shattering glass. The memory of him shattering the window to jump down was a shocking one. Van Triet had to look at her in a new light. This woman, she recognized me just from my shout yesterday? A second later, he looked up at Van Am. Deftly changing her outfit, she spoke with a captivating tone. All right. Greetings are over. That's all for today. Beside her, Vansa also materialized her equipment and said, let's go scout ahead. Seeing their unusual reactions, he thought to himself, they figured it out. They didn't expose me in front of everyone, choosing to tell me this way instead. Are they trying to warn me? True, that guy Din Hook could also recognize our voices, but as long as he doesn't find us anytime soon, we'll be fine. At my current leveling speed, it won't be long before I won't have to worry anymore. If they're showing me goodwill, then I should warn them too. Van Triet spoke in a low, calm voice. You girls should be careful. This secret realm has a dangerous aura. Dressed in her elegant attire, Vansa turned her head and replied, come to think of it, there is a strange feeling here. Based on my level, I wouldn't normally need to pay it any mind, but thank you for the warning. Hearing the conversation between them, the people nearby pouted with disdain. Is that really Vansa? Isn't she supposed to be cold? Why is she being so nice to him? Hey, you. How do you know Vansa? Seeing this, the crowd started clamoring with questions. Do you two know each other? Yeah, can you introduce us to her? Van Triet coldly waved his hand and said, sorry, we have to go. Tuyet Dung shouted. Go? You want to act alone? The weakest monsters here are at least level 20. You two underclassmen will get yourselves killed by the first trash mob you see. Seeing her seemingly kind and enthusiastic concern, Tioha ran over to intervene. Just let them go. Anyone who has a connection with Vansa can't be all that bad, so I doubt their levels are that low. Hearing his words, they were stunned. The girl spoke up, but Teacher Lai told us to look out for them, so how could their levels? He reminded her in a low, harsh tone. Don't forget the real reason we came here. The less you know about that place, the better. It's a rare crystal deposit. Do you really want to share it with them? Besides, everyone is equipped with an emergency flare gun, so just leave them alone. But in his malicious heart, there were no such good intentions. On what grounds could some nobody kid get to know Vansa? If they're that clueless about their own strength, then they deserve to die. The scene shifts to the entrance of the secret realm, where crumbling walls were enveloped in a deep, pinkish space. In front of the operating portal, Bak Hai spoke up. You're Din Hook? What are you doing here? He moved in close to the older man, threateningly demanding, a team just went in, didn't they? Bak Hai replied, that's right. What do you want? Hearing the answer from the man's own mouth, Din Hook's bloodshot eyes sharpened, as if he wanted to devour everything. Two familiar names quickly surfaced in his mind, Van Triet, Qiu, Qi, and he recalled the words Din Kan had once said. Don't try to pin the blame on them just because of that fight at the museum. I don't have time to clean up your petty messes right now, Din Hook furiously screamed. It really was them who broke in. I heard their voices. Seeing Din Hook's unstable behavior, he reminded him in a stern voice, Ah, Hook, the intruders easily slipped past all our guards and escaped. What kind of student could possibly pull something like that off? At the very least, you have to prove that those two are strong enough to get past our guards. Otherwise, it's hard for me to help you. All right, we're discussing important matters. Don't bother us anymore. As those words echoed relentlessly in his mind, he flew into a rage and grabbed Bak Hai by the collar. So Van Triet and Qiu Qi have gone into this secret realm. I'm going in as well. Inside the heroic realm, Van Triet continuously swung his blade, wiping out hordes of Wraith Fiend monsters. With just a single critical strike, he successfully sent a monster to the afterlife. Next, Van Triet unleashed a powerful blast of magic at the giant Eye Fiend before him. It quickly counterattacked, but he immediately activated his reflexive dodge. Van Triet gave a hurried command. Qiu Qi quickly understood, deploying his shield barrier. Instantly, protective shields appeared around him. The system panel appeared. Shield barrier. Qiu Qi also acted fast, shouting encouragement for Van Triet, activating his rally state. System. Rally increases attack and speed by 5. In a flash, he reached the Eye Fiend's shoulder. Van Triet raised his blade, preparing to land a critical blow. In an instant, he swung his sword, cleaving the massive beast in two. The system then announced, Magic Blade remaining, 7 seconds. You have leveled up. Van Triet, level 21, Spellcaster. Beside him, Qiu Qi cheered joyfully. I leveled up too. I gained another level. Qiu Qi, Human Race, level 11, Shield Bearer. Meanwhile, Van Triet was lost in thought. The skill books I took from the Din family earlier happened to have Shield Barrier and Rallying Shout. At Qiu Qi's current level, he can learn these skills. Even though the monsters here are a bit high level, with Qiu Qi's help, things will be much easier. Far more. According to that teacher, there's a very rare monster in this dungeon called a Wonderstone monster. Killing it gives you a chance to get a support type skill called Gravity Pull. It's a good thing I read the list of skills from the mirror world, so I knew which one I needed to learn. He gazed into the distance, thinking not only of the Wonderstone monster, but also of the undead. I wonder which part of the dungeon all those powerful experts died in. Hopefully, I can find some high-level ones. Suddenly, Van Triet's eyes widened in shock, as if he'd seen something strange. Oh, turns out he'd spotted a tall, heavily armored monster. Van Triet was stunned. Could it be that the place where he and Qiu Qi were standing was called the Valley of Crystal Pillars? From the cliff, he looked down at the pack of monsters. Van Triet pondered, why are so many elite-level Wonderstone monsters gathered here? What's more, they've moved at least 1,000 meters. They've long since left their normal monster activity range. Are they vagrants? Vagrants are rare monsters found in dungeons that don't stay in one place, but wander all over. Their strength is far greater than that of ordinary monsters. In the past, when humans were not yet strong, encountering vagrants meant certain doom, because they would even wander outside of the dungeons, leading to countless tragic dungeon break disasters. However, corresponding to the high risk, defeating them grants experience and item drops that far surpass those of normal monsters. In a flash, Van Triet closed in on a Wonderstone monster. Against such a powerful monster, when the time was right, he unleashed a single, decisive strike to cut it down, knowing he might only get one shot. But to his surprise, the monster had a recovery ability, which startled Van Triet for a moment. It has a continuous healing skill. He continued his assault, firing magical blasts at 2 Wonderstone monsters at once. Not to be outdone, they retaliated with a barrage of lightning bolts. Even with Qiu Qi's shield protecting him, Van Triet was hit by the relentless assault. He felt a sense of unease. These monsters' attacks were both fast and numerous. At this rate, no matter how fast I am, I can't dodge everything. My health and defense are too low. If it weren't for Qiu Qi's shield, I would have been seriously injured already. Caught between a rock and a hard place, Van Triet decided to summon his undead. But even the summoned spirits couldn't withstand the power of the Wonderstone monsters. This is bad. Even the undead can't hold them off. Luckily, their movement speed is still quite slow. But my health and defense can't be increased in a short amount of time. If I want to defeat these monsters, it seems I can only rely on the defensive boost Qiu Qi will get after leveling up. With that thought, he immediately commanded Qiu Qi, "Let's go. First, we'll grind on some other normal monsters to level you up." A little while later, Van Triet and Qiu Qi arrived at a low-level monster area. He calculated carefully. From that high vantage point, I saw plenty of monster locations. They'll be perfect for power leveling him. In team battles, the shield bearer is the indispensable first line of defense, and other classes can hide behind the shield for better protection. From then on, all of Qiu Qi's attribute points were focused on defense. Add in the protective helmet I conveniently snagged from the Din family guards, and now he at least has the core defensive capabilities of a shield bearer. He can now block attacks from monsters up to level 20. After observing for a while, he noticed Qiu Qi's flaws and instructed him, Lower your whole body, plant your feet firmly, and aim your shield toward the attack. Qiu immediately followed his instructions, striking a powerful blow against the spirit monster. He was pleased to notice a change in his shield. Its durability had decreased slightly less than before. Suddenly, Van Triet's shout startled him. "Watch out for the attack from behind." Although he was hit by the spirit monster's attack, Van Triet thankfully rushed in and severed its arm right after. Van Triet warned in a stern voice, "Always be wary of the enemy's next attack. Your movements don't need to be so wide. Leave yourself room to deal with the next blow. Even though you must remain vigilant, your body should stay relaxed. Only tense up at the moment of defense." Van Triet slapped Qiu on the back, encouragingly. "Let's keep going. I've got your back. As a shield bearer, you must always pay attention to the movements of your teammates behind you." Qiu nodded in understanding, a confident smile spreading across his face. As Van Triet helped him block the monster's attack, he reminded him, "Remember, when the power difference isn't too great, skill is what determines victory or defeat." Finally, the two of them managed to wipe out a formidable troop of spirit monsters. He thought to himself gleefully, "Leveled up." The system panel appeared. Van Triet, human, level 22, spellcaster. Van Triet looked at Qiu with a proud expression. Now, he could finally be confident, facing the enemy head-on, so they were getting a bigger share of the experience points. His friend beside him was overjoyed. "I've reached level 15, Qiu, race, human, level 15, class, shield bearer." Qiu excitedly held the shield plate armor skill book in his hands. Finally, he could learn it. Shield plate armor equips an outer layer of plate armor to one's shield. Just like that, he quickly learned the new skill. Meanwhile, Van Triet was deep in thought. The skill book he'd casually picked up from Din was the last one Qiu could learn. It added an outer layer of armor to his summoned shield. With this new shield armor, his defense points would increase enough to handle those elite-level wanderers. On a nearby cliff, Loi Liet, Loi An, and Trang Qin were worried about that same pack of wanderers. How are there so many elite-level wanderers here? Where did they all come from? This is too dangerous for the students. We need to deal with this immediately. Loi, Anne exclaimed nervously. "But we can handle normal level 30 monsters, sure, but trying to take on these elite wanderers is just too much for us." Suddenly, the three of them saw a flash of light from the other side of the cliff. It was a student's distress signal. Trang Qin wanted to rush over to save the student. "Let's go rescue those students first." But Loi An hesitated. "But these wanderers over here are also very dangerous. What if some students stumble upon them without knowing?" Loi Liet, who had been observing, also spoke up. "That's right. To be safe, it's better if I stay behind." Trang Qin heard this and agreed. "All right then, Old Bak, you stay here, if anything happens." But before he could finish, he was cut off by Van Triet. "How about you let us keep watch here? The distress signal over there probably means they've run into wanderers too. If only two of you teachers go to help, you'll be overwhelmed." Trang Qin was skeptical of them, but the boy was firm. "These wanderers aren't fast, and they haven't noticed us. As long as we watch from a distance, nothing will happen. You teachers can go without worry." After a moment of hesitation, the three professors decided to trust him. "All right, but those monsters are extremely times dangerous. You absolutely must not act on your own, understand? You have to hide well. If you get spotted, there's no way you'll be able to escape." Hearing this, Van Triet said confidently, "Shouldn't it be them times who can't escape?" Van Triet immediately dove down, unleashing an attack and slashing at a wanderer. Next, he fired a blast of magic at the one behind it. Qiu quickly activated his protection, his shield now encased in plate armor. Van Triet used his summoned undead to tank a hit, then instantly zipped to the other side. In an instant, the undead was completely defeated, but thankfully, he had already managed to land countless critical strikes on the wanderer. However, its armor was too tough, and the attacks did nothing. Van Triet grumbled in frustration. I was so close." He did a 360-degree flip, pouring all his strength into a final move, and that fatal slash cleaved the massive beast in two. At last, Van Triet had successfully defeated it, but he still wasn't satisfied. "I've managed to take down one wanderer, and I'm getting used to this class now, but it's still so much worse than in my past life." Van Triet continuously unleashed powerful slashes against the pack of wanderers. "Right now, even when I combine it with the reversal skill to greatly increase my attack power, my support class's basic attack is still too low. If only I could just improve my base attack power a little more." Soon after, Van Triet defeated another monster and gained another level. He became even more certain of his initial guess. leveled up again. These rare, elite-level monsters really do give a ton of experience. The system panel also appeared. Please pick up the dropped item. Van Triet slowly approached, his eyes widening in shock as he held the item, a weapon, with attack power. It turned out to be a long crystal blade, with plus 552 attack power. Van Triet thought with satisfaction, isn't this the perfect thing to make up for my low base attack power? Now, battles will be much easier. Even so, he felt it wasn't enough. It's a shame the gravity pull skill book I wanted didn't drop. The drop rate doesn't seem very high, huh? If I were a bit luckier, maybe I'd run into a few more of these wanderers. Suddenly, a strange red light flared in the sky. Oh, Van Triet recalled what happened earlier. Isn't that where the distress signal came from? What's more, this time the signal is a special distress beacon, one that only the teacher squad is equipped with, right? Over there, Trang Chin was sweating bullets as he held up his shield to defend. What is this? Why are so many wanderers gathered here? The entire area was surrounded by giant wanderers. He and the others were forced to take refuge in a small crevice in the cliff face. On a nearby cliff, Van Sa and her teammates had also arrived. So many monsters have gathered here. What in the world happened? A dark-haired man with an aquiline nose approached and said, I'm not too sure myself. We just followed the signal here to provide backup, he said, pointing toward the other side. The signal came from the cave. They must be trapped in there. Over there, everyone was struggling to hold on. We need to organize a relief effort now, but there are just too many monsters. Even if all of us teachers go, it won't be enough. The teachers, pale-faced, pleaded for Van Sa's help. If only you could lend us your strength. She replied confidently, that's what I'm here for. With that, Van Sa immediately cast her magic. Starlight Arcanum. Instantly, the entire area was illuminated by shimmering stars. The system window appeared. Spirit power +2, attack power increased by 20%. Everyone cheered with joy. The buff effect from this skill is insane. It has to be at least epic grade. Next, she unleashed Gravity Crush, forcing a monster to its knees in an instant. Van Am immediately used Shadow Stab to help take down the stray monster. Gasps of awe filled the air. So strong. Now we can finally rescue the people inside. That's Van Am and Van Sa for you. From high above, Van Triet had seen it all. Not just their gear, but even their skills were top tier. Looks like even without me, nothing bad would have happened down there. I don't know what the situation is, but something must be attracting so many of these wandering beasts to one place. He turned to Qiu Qi and said, I'm going in to check it out. You go with the others for now. Van Triet quickly activated Mirror Walk to make his reconnaissance easier. Standing on a crystal formation, he carefully considered his options. There are crystals all over the ground. They're all mirrors. I can enter the mirror world at any time. Van Triet recalled the last time he used this skill. I just haven't had the time to figure out the mechanism for returning to reality. Yesterday, at the Din family's place, after Mirror Walk's duration ended, I couldn't get back in. He stared thoughtfully toward the cave. Humans have shadows, but the monsters don't. Van Triet glanced at the monster's corpse. But the monster's body definitely exists. Does this mean that besides me, no other living creature in the mirror world has a physical form? Van Triet ventured deeper into the cave. He spotted some familiar faces. It's them. Is that Tu Ta? It seemed like they were here to lure the wandering beasts, gather them in one place, and then send out a distress signal. Since the monsters were fighting in a narrow space, they wouldn't be in any immediate danger. But I really wonder what's inside that could attract so many of these creatures. Van Triet walked towards a strange blue glow. It's all crystal. This stuff really messes with your sense of direction. Suddenly, he stopped dead in his tracks. To think something like this is in here. Van Triet placed his hand on a nearby rock. Is this a special crystal ore? No wonder Tu Ta's group came to this cave. This type of crystal was unlike anything in the outside world. Hidden realms could produce special resources that the outside world didn't have. Moreover, crafters with life-related professions could use these resources to create special items like accessories. These mineral deposits were worth far more than thousands of gold pieces. The moment he touched it, a system window appeared. Mirror crystal ore. Can be collected. Can be taken. Take from this place back to the real world? Yes. No. Van Triet stared in shock at the two options. Take from this place, back to the real world. He suddenly placed his hand on the massive crystal. Could it be? A grin spread across Van Triet's face. So that's how it works. As long as there's a mirror-like surface, I can use it to return to the real world. He began gathering all the crystals in the area. There's still so much to discover about this skill. I need to find a chance to study it more carefully. After collecting the ore, Van Triet pushed forward. But for now, I need to scout out this place first. He entered a narrow passage. The amount of ore in here was abnormally high. If someone were to mine all of this, it would be more than enough to turn a normal person into a billionaire. No wonder so many wandering beasts gathered here. Van Sa leaped into the air, using gravity crush, shattering the rocks below. Van Am then used twin blade dance to slice through the large boulders. The two continued their assault with Starfall art, as onlookers chattered among themselves. Are all of their skills epic grade? Why is every single one so powerful? They're way stronger than our teachers. A diagonal slash shot out, flying straight toward a boulder. It instantly shattered into tiny pieces. The people below were overjoyed. They exclaimed with relief, "We're finally saved. I thought I was going to die in here." Van Am suddenly appeared before them and said, "Don't relax just yet. We still have to get out of here, and you've all used up a lot of energy." Van Sa adjusted her hat, smiling as she spoke. "But it'll be a lot easier than it was before." Suddenly, her eyes caught something, and she froze, her golden eyes flashing with light. Ugh. Behind them, Van Am's face turned deathly pale. A horde of monsters swarmed towards them like ants pouring from a nest. This is, they screamed in terror. Don't tell me every single stray beast in the entire secret realm has come here. Meanwhile, inside the mirror world, among gray rocks and shimmering blue crystals, a series of overlapping slashes suddenly struck out. The rocks and crystals shattered in unison, falling away to reveal what looked like a maze. Van Triet's eyes suddenly widened as if he'd spotted something. Whoa. He looked up and saw a massive, glowing crystal. This is? Van Triet stared at it intently, wondering, could this be the hidden secret? If the various crystal ores are the special products of this secret realm, then this core must be its one and only hidden treasure. A hidden treasure is the condensed crystallization of a realm's special products, nurtured over an immeasurable period of time. An ordinary person could go their entire life without ever seeing one. Every hidden treasure of this type possesses its own unique, special effects. Mirror core. Rank? None. Type? Hidden treasure. Unique item. Van Triet picked it up and smiled to himself. Increases basic attributes and reduces basic attribute damage. The stamina increase could massively boost my health points, and the increased magic point recovery rate will let me stack my secret art blades even higher. But what's even more important is the 20% damage reduction from the light attribute. Percentage-based damage reduction is incredibly rare. You'd be hard-pressed to find it even on top-tier gear, and that would take up an equipment slot. As he looked at it, a question popped into his head. But the strange thing is, the crystal ores attract the stray beasts. If a hidden treasure like this exists, then this secret realm must have a monster far stronger than the stray beasts guarding it. Van Triet reached out to touch the system panel. I'll just use this hidden treasure and then get out of here. Choose your action. Using or taking this item will consume 10 minutes of time within the mirror. Do you wish to proceed? Huh? Outside, the others' faces were ashen, drenched in sweat. Van Sa and Van Am wore looks of utter disbelief. The massive boulders began to crack and crumble, revealing a colossal monster. It stood behind the horde of stray beasts. That's the Lord of the Stray Beasts. It's a hidden boss. A rogue lord is a rare hidden boss, separate from the secret realm's main lord. Its power far surpasses that of a normal lord, and it's far beyond anything a teacher or student could possibly fight. Their panic quickly turned to outrage. Aren't rogue lords only supposed to appear in high-level secret realms? Why is a monster like that in this place? At this rate, we're all going to die here. Van Sa's lips trembled as if she wanted to say something, then she suddenly shouted, "Everyone, calm down. Working together to escape is the most important thing right now." Van Sa climbed onto a high rock, pointing in a specific direction. "We can escape this valley through that canyon over there. Once we're out of the valley, we'll be able to get away easily." She began to activate her Star Roam secret art and continued. "So don't hold anything back. Full power. Break through in that direction." Treng Chin activated his own power and roared in agreement. "That's right. We have to at least get the students out." He equipped a suit of armor and charged forward. "I'll take the lead. We attack in rotations." The others also began to surge forward, fighting back against the stray beasts. A series of massive explosions erupted, filling the sky with black smoke. The healers stayed in the back, supporting those on the front lines. Looking down from above, a tiny group of people desperately fought against the massive monsters. The stray beasts didn't just stand there and take it. They began to counterattack. "Hold on, we're almost there." Suddenly, the rogue lord let out a deafening roar, battle cry, "Rally." Upon hearing the roar, the stray beasts stopped their attacks. Obeying the command, they all turned and swarmed in one direction. Countless more stray beasts poured in from all sides, terrifying them. Damn it, where are all these monsters coming from? A glint of light flashed in the rogue lord's eye. Crystal halo. A magic circle appeared in the sky. Health points, attack power, and defense power all increased by 20%. The fighters yelled as they defended. Why did their attack power suddenly jump so much? Someone shouted to their side. The damage is too high. The healing can't keep up. Beams of light struck one person at the same time, making him scream, "Help me!" A student saw the scene and screamed through their tears. Ah, the teacher's dead. Vansaw quickly changed tactics. Shield guards to the front. Priests, prioritize healing the shield bearers. She watched the scene unfold, thinking anxiously. Everyone's already exhausted. We're just barely holding on now. The rogue lord hasn't even made a real move yet. Someone in the group suddenly spoke up. This isn't working. At this rate, we'll never break through their encirclement. Using his stealth ability, he quickly darted past the others. He gritted his teeth and muttered to himself, I've got to save myself. He bolted out of the encirclement, weaving past the massive wanderers. Trang Qin held out a hand to stop the others, shouting, anyone with a wanderer-class profession, don't follow him. His stealth won't last long enough. He'll never make it all the way out. Just as he was deep in stealth, he suddenly reappeared right in the middle of the massive wanderers. Trang Qin's eyes widened in shock. He stared straight ahead, eyes wide with terror. The rogue lord had spotted him and began to open its massive maw, gathering energy. Then, it unleashed a fatal blow right at him. A voice screamed out, "Look out!" Trang Qin couldn't believe his eyes, his face a mask of pure horror. The lord had instantly obliterated the man, turning him to ash. The scene was utter chaos. The horde of wanderers was still massive, seemingly without a single loss. Someone in the group pointed forward in a panic. And that's not all. The blast caused the canyon to collapse. That attack power is insane. We're trapped. Once again, the rogue lord began gathering power in its mouth. The man looked back, his face filled with dread. We're screwed. This time, it's coming for us. We'll never be able to block it. Just as he finished speaking, Saam and Savan burst from the group. They rushed forward, simultaneously planting their massive shields to form a barrier. Giant's Shield, Mountain Rock Shield. Both shields possessed incredibly high defense. The rogue lord's attack slammed into them, but the shields didn't even budge. Vanjia turned around and yelled, anyone with high strength, get over here and help brace them. If these shields fall, we're finished. Her face was beaded with sweat from the prolonged battle. These shields were level 70 equipment, so their durability was pretty much guaranteed. But because they were such high-level items, no one here had the stats to actually equip them. They were nearly impossible to move, meaning this was just a temporary solution. The people huddled behind the shields turned pale. Why is a monster like this in a school dungeon? As Trang Qin strained to hold the shield, his eyes darted over to two people who were arguing. This is all your fault. Why did we even come here? He gritted his teeth, thinking to himself, was every effort I made to save them completely pointless? At least, those two kids should be safe, right? But when Trang Qin glanced back, he saw Qiu Qi also bracing the shield. Huh? That's the student from the back. Didn't I tell them to wait in the valley? Why is he here? In that moment of distraction, a wanderer shattered the shield barrier. Someone behind him screamed, watch out! Qiu Qi quickly used his power to create a new shield. The shield enveloped the wanderer, just as it fired a beam of energy at Trang Qin, blocking the attack. He still took a hit to the shoulder, sending blood flying. After all, the perimeter defense had already been breached. Now, there was no one left to stop the wanderers. The man from before ran up to block its next blow for Trang Qin. Clutching his injured arm, he stared at Qiu Qi. This kid, he has this kind of power? But now, all the Guardian's shields were shattered. He was sent flying backwards. Our defense has been completely broken. Qiu Qi fell to the ground, a trail of blood running down his face, as the wanderer behind him began to power up. Trang Qin's eyes widened, bloodshot and strained. There's no way out. Suddenly, Van Triet appeared, cutting the wanderer that was about to attack him into tiny pieces with a single slash. Seeing this, he finally relaxed a little. Van Triet, his entire body enveloped in light, praised him. Qiu Qi, you did well. He closed one eye and raised his hand. Van Triet gave Qiu Qi a slight smile and continued, leave the rest to me. Not long before, in the real world, Van Triet stood before a green crystal that was emitting a brilliant light. He was lost in thought. Besides the replicated treasure core from the mirror world, there's also the original one in the real world. Looks like by using this mirror world, my future income could double. The only problem is, it's not easy to take out crystals and ores. The system announced, you are about to be ejected from the mirror world. Insufficient transfer time. Please select the items you wish to bring out. He thought. It's just like with the treasure. To bring out a single unit of crystal, it consumes 10 minutes of travel time in the mirror world. The system prompted, please select your action. Van Triet selected Use Core. For now, he could only bring out the most valuable, replicated core. A system panel appeared. You have used the core and the mirror core. Suddenly, the entire area began to shake violently. Fissures cracked open everywhere as massive rocks fell from the ceiling. He started to get nervous. This kind of tremor. Triet quickly ran to find out what was going on. Did something happen? I have to see if I can still pass through the mirror world. He jumped into the mirror world to check. The system announced, Mirror Walk. Van Triet was happy to realize that as long as the duration of Mirror Walk hadn't run out, he could enter and exit at will. Only after the duration was fully consumed would it enter a cooldown period. He leaped up, quickly zipping through the rock crevices. Van Triet shot out of the crevice. The system announced, you have left the mirror world. Now, in front of him, were tens of thousands of monsters. Van Triet looked at them and thought, has the number of monsters increased again? Even if they were attracted by the crystal ore, there shouldn't be this many. A massive monster appeared behind him. It was even stronger than the Wandering Lord. It seemed this was the source of his initial sense of danger. Van Triet charged forward to fight, but he was still thinking about Kyo Chi and the others being in danger. He had an idea. If I can enter and exit the mirror world at will. The moment the monster swung its fist at Van Triet, he had already appeared inside the mirror world. Van Triet jumped out of the attack's path and returned to the real world. This way, I can dodge the monster's attacks much more easily. As he swung his sword, cutting down monster after monster, he calculated in his head, I'm level 24 now. My total magic points are 140, with a mana recovery rate of 2.6 per second. Arcane is +5, so my attack power can be increased by up to 330%. The system announced, Magic Blade, attack power increased by 180%. 8 seconds remaining. Van Triet's gaze sharpened. Although time is tight, this Wandering Lord is even stronger than a secret dungeons lord. I need to reach level 30 at least. He entered the mirror world. I'm still quite a ways off. Van Triet advanced to where the others were fighting, left that world, and swiftly cut down the monsters. They were surrounding Kyo Chi. Van Triet, still in a fighting stance, praised him. Kyo Chi, you did well. Seeing him, Kyo Chi looked as if he'd seen his savior. Van Triet said, leave the rest to me. He made full use of the mirror world, entering it once again. Whenever Van Triet appeared in the real world, he would swing his blade and swiftly cut down one monster after another. Then he would disappear again. If you have any support skills, buff me. Let me go deal with these wanderers. Hearing this, Vansa quickly assisted by casting a spirit spell. Kyo Chi didn't stand idly by either, using his shield of light to help. Van Triet immediately received a buff, spirit power +2. Attack power increased by 20%, he thought. Although the number of monsters is ridiculous, my health points have increased many times over after using the arcane crystal core. And the light element has also reduced damage by 40%. There's no more danger now. It's just that these monsters are immune to chaos. Otherwise, they could be wiped out much faster. The people who had been fighting the monsters were shocked to see Van Triet taking them down so easily and quickly. One of them spoke up. Am I seeing things? I think his status bar shows he's a caster. But why is his attack power so high? Trang Chin added. Moreover, what skills is he even using? He can even phase through things? He felt a great sense of relief. He's that strong? And here I was, worried about you earlier. Van Triet continued to slash his blade enthusiastically, battling the horde of monsters. The system chimed, level up, he thought excitedly. With so many monsters gathered here, leveling up is going to be incredibly fast. Van Sa, watching Van Triet fight from the side, was also astonished. Her opinion of him had changed. I originally thought this guy was just a brazen thief, but I never expected his strength to be so far beyond my imagination. Van Am was just as surprised, quietly observing Van Triet. He continued to phase in and out between the mirror world and reality, and the number of monsters dwindled accordingly. The system regularly announced, level up. Van Triet had now reached level 28. A man exclaimed in shock, is this guy reinforcements from outside? He's so strong. Trang Chin replied, I've met him before. I think he's a student. The others were stunned when they heard this. What? A student? Holy crap. The monster let out a roar and prepared to unleash an attack. Everyone became panicked. This is bad. It's about to attack again. It shot a powerful purple beam of light toward him. Van Triet began to feel the pressure. Even now, I still can't tank this attack. Plus, it looks like it's starting to move. By the time it gets close, the two shield bearers won't be able to protect them. Trang Qin seized the opportunity and commanded, "The number of monsters has been greatly reduced. Let's break through the encirclement on one side." He was anxious. If we wait for that wandering lord to get closer, it'll be too late. No matter how strong that one guy is, there's no way he can fight this wandering lord alone. The others protested. But these two shields are very difficult to move. What if? If we break through, we'll have to face an attack from that wandering lord. That's right. The moment we move, it can easily land a direct hit on us. Someone else added, "These two shields are huge and heavy. The only way to carry them is by storing them in our inventory." While everyone was terrified of the monsters, one person spoke up. "Just leave it to me." It was him. Van Triet bravely stood up to protect everyone. "I'll attack it, draw its aggro, and then you all use that chance to escape." Trang Qin was both grateful and worried for him. "If we escape, what about you?" Van Triet was also doing this for the sake of the future. If this wandering lord isn't dealt with, it will gather all the monsters in the dungeon and let them roam free into the outside world. Most of the major disasters in the past were caused by wandering lords. So, with a steely gaze, he answered the man's question. "I'm staying behind, and then I'm going to kill it." A system notification appeared. Trickster's Blade. 7 seconds remaining. Mirror Walk. 5 minutes and 41 seconds remaining. Trang Qin urgently rushed everyone. "Hurry, hurry, charge outside." No matter how strong that person is, facing so many monsters and a wandering lord, he's bound to get exhausted. "We have to get out of here quickly, so he has a chance to escape," one person asked doubtfully. "Didn't he say he was going to kill that lord?" Trang Qin replied. "He only said that to put our minds at ease. I mean, that thing is a wandering lord." Qiu Qi was also struggling to find a way out with the crowd. He looked back, filled with self-blame. "I'm still so useless. At times like this, all I can do is run." "Van Triet, you have to make it out of there." Meanwhile, on Van Triet's side, he was still tirelessly battling the monsters. Because of this, Van Triet's level was increasing little by little. When a monster unleashed its skill towards him, Van Triet entered the mirror world. Immediately after, he appeared beside it and attacked, swinging his blade with immense force into the monster's body. However, that giant mountain beast's level was too high. Van Triet realized it. No good. Its defense is way too high. I only dealt that little bit of damage, but its regeneration skill can heal it in an instant. He looked straight at the monster and thought, "As I expected, I still need to get to that time spot." The crystal core on top of its head was its nucleus, and that was also its weak point. Van Triet continued to strike the giant mountain beast, though it barely made a dent. "It's just that my attack power isn't high enough yet." The system displayed Star Trickster's Art, 5 seconds remaining. He quickly calculated in his head. "The buffs those guys gave me are starting to wear off, and my mana points are already low. It's not enough to maintain Trickster's Blade for much longer." Van Triet decided he needed to level up first. Suddenly, a mysterious purple beam of light appeared in his vision. Van Triet was stunned to realize it was the monster's hand. Outstretched, it was about to unleash a skill on him. Van Triet immediately entered the mirror world. "You planned ahead, anticipating where I would appear, didn't you?" The moment he left the mirror world, the power from the monster's hand shot straight at Van Triet. The system chimed repeatedly. "Your health has been reduced by 50 points. He remained calm even as his body was riddled with damage. "This is a continuous, wide-area attack. There's not much time left for Mirror Walk. If I rely on it to dodge, my mana will be completely drained in an instant." The system displayed Mirror Walk. Time remaining, 3 minutes and 46 seconds. Van Triet had no other choice. "I can only use the Death Spirit to block it. But restoring a summoned creature consumes mana points. If I keep pushing the attack after that, I won't have enough." A large shield suddenly appeared, shielding him. Trying to retreat and regroup, Van Triet was struggling to find a solution when he was taken by surprise. Before him, Qiu Qi, Van Sa, and Van had returned to help him. Van Triet was astonished. "Why are you all?" Van Sa explained, "Your little brother here begged us so pitifully, so we had no choice but to come back and support you." Hearing this, Qiu Qi was displeased. "What do you mean, begged pitifully? There aren't as many monsters as before. The others over there have all escaped." He smiled lightly and said, "Thanks." Van Sa spoke up. "This hidden boss is still too dangerous. Let us cover you, so you can slowly retreat from here." Van Triet, as if fully recharged, said, "There's no need. With everyone's support, I don't have to hold back anymore." The system once again displayed a notification. level up. The information panel appeared. Name, Van Triet. Level, 30. A powerful energy radiated from around him. I've reached level 30. My attack power should be just enough now. Van Triet equipped the Corrupted Knight's armor, an item that required level 30. Van Sa realized his intention. Don't tell me you're planning to attack its weak point from above? From this height, it's basically impossible to get up there. Van Triet paid no attention to her words. He took out a book. What I wished for before, I have finally obtained. Skill information. Gravitational pull. Pulls the target object towards oneself. His body, guided by an inverted gravitational pull, shot forward toward his target. Yunche had found the perfect skill. This was the skill that pulled the user toward their target. He boosted the attack power of his absorption blade and spoke reassuringly, "Don't worry, this is all under my control." Yunche reached out towards the monster's head and activated his gravitational pull skill. The skill instantly yanked Yunche right to the monster's head. He had reached the mana core on its forehead. Down below, Yunsa and Yunyin looked up, completely stunned. Yunche slashed relentlessly at the mana core. The monster roared in agony as its weak point was attacked. It unleashed a ferocious burst of energy. He was hit by a wave of damage, and the system notifications flooded in. Your health has been reduced by 107 points. Yunche poured all his remaining strength into his attacks on the core. Finally, the mana core shattered into pieces. A system notification appeared. You have defeated the Wandering Overlord. You have received 5,000 experience points. You have received the title Slayer of the Wanderer. A legendary grade skill book, golden light screen, and an angel's aegis have dropped. The three onlookers stood there in utter disbelief. Qiao Ji was the first to speak, full of praise. Yunche is unbelievably strong. Yun Sa, equally surprised, added, he took down a terrifying monster like this. All by himself? Standing high above, Yunche looked down and said, and it even dropped legendary grade items, 2 of them, at that. Suddenly, the monster's body lurched, forcing Yunche to leap aside to dodge. The people below shouted in panicked relief. The monster's collapsing. Yunche is still on top of it. Be careful. He raced across its massive body with incredible speed. A massive tremor shook the ground as the entire body of the Wandering Overlord began to crumble. As Yunche looked over, his eyes caught something. In the direction he was looking, there was a small cave entrance, pitch black and leading deep into a hollow mountain. Yunche leaped high into the air to get a better view of the remains of the wanderers and humans. He landed on a large boulder and looked up. It seems an even stronger Wandering Overlord was born here long ago. That would explain why this place looks like such a brutal battlefield. Atop the mountain was the silhouette of a person, tightly gripping a sword plunged into the ground. The system panel immediately displayed that person's information. Qiao An. Deceased. After reading it, Yunche exclaimed in shock, Bon Bon. He stood at the foot of the mountain, staring up. Qiao An's entire body was enveloped in a purple glow, his cloak still fluttering gently in the wind. Yunsa's eyes widened in astonishment as she asked, is that the traitor, Qiao An? Even though she'd heard this was the place where the hero Ding Kun had slain him, she continued speaking as she gazed at Qiao An's defiant posture. But I never expected something like this. Yunsa composed herself, her gaze sharpening. This is clearly the aftermath of a battle against countless monsters and people. It's completely different from the statue in the Modern History Museum. This man doesn't look like someone who would be easily trampled. Yunche frowned slightly, his gaze heavy as he remained silent. Standing behind them, Qiao Zhe suddenly spoke up. You all probably won't believe me, but I don't think my great-grandfather was the heinous villain everyone says he was. He began to recount his own story. Ever since I was a child, I've read the history of my great-grandfather. But whenever it got to the specific details of his experiences, the descriptions were always frustratingly vague. However, I did manage to find some clues. He always went to dungeons that were completely unsuited for his level. Tell me, why would he, an S-ranker, a level 60+ professional, come to a low-level dungeon like this one? Because this is a dungeon capable of nurturing a Wandering Overlord, and the Wandering Overlord is the source of the Great Catastrophe. It has the ability to summon all the monsters from within the dungeon into the outside world. Because of that, the government simply didn't have enough troops. They couldn't defend against all the wandering monsters pouring out of the dungeons, and that's why they had to rely on certain individuals. Powerful and responsible professionals who could periodically clear out the monsters in the dungeons. At this point, Qiao Ji's voice rose to a shout, and my great-grandfather was one of them. He came here to extinguish the disaster before it could even begin. The other three listened in silence, unable to say a word, his brow furrowed as he continued. You probably think I'm just making all this up, don't you? Qiaoji's hands were clenched so tightly they were trembling. My own family says I'm just looking for psychological comfort, that I'm just twisting words to mean what I want them to mean. Yun Che suddenly placed a hand on his shoulder, causing him to freeze. He smiled gently and said, I believe you. Seeing this, the two girls immediately blushed. Qiaoji, as if he couldn't believe his own ears, stared at him with wide eyes. A gentle breeze blew, making Yun Che's hair sway with it. He was definitely not that kind of person. An image of a young boy flashed in his mind. I don't need a so-called master. The boy winked and smiled, full of confidence. With my genius-level talent, I'll be stronger than you in no time. An old man like you should just retire early. But when he was attacked by goblins, the little brat cried and screamed, Master, save me! Yet, the moment his master bandaged his wounds, he changed his tune. Who needed your help? Don't save me next time. I just miscalculated. I didn't expect there to be so many monsters in this dungeon. In the blink of an eye, that little brat was all grown up. You found me again, huh? He pointed a thumb at himself with a wide grin. That's right. I'm the type of guy who works his butt off in secret, just so he can show off in front of everyone else. Don't worry, the dungeon we're heading to won't be life-threatening. Kyo An, carrying a massive sword and a giant shield, said, Why should you choose the sword guard class? The sword guard is considered the weakest advancement path for a shield bearer. A hint of anger flashed across his face. But isn't that because you focus almost entirely on strength and speed? You always charge straight ahead. Basically, no shield class can keep up with you. Kiyuan's face was covered in blood as he leaned on his sword and shield. Old friend, I really found you. He smiled, exhausted from the battle. I get it. Leaving the party without permission means a 3-month salary deduction. But I ran into so many wanderers that I had no choice but to level up. Save someone? Yeah, right. I was just passing by. Back in the present, Van Triet's eyes flashed. Bon. For you, I will make the Ding family pay. Elsewhere, in a large and luxurious room, a man asked in disbelief, Is what you're saying true, son? Ding Shu insisted loudly and firmly. It's true. If you don't believe me, then just go ask the teacher in charge of the dungeon. That Van Triet guy is just that powerful. He quickly recounted everything to his father. I was blocked at the entrance by the dungeon's guarding teacher and wasn't allowed to enter. I really can't let you in. Your level is still too low. But as the people inside came out, they were all buzzing with excitement. Did you guys see that just now? I saw it from a distance. That Wanderer Lord just collapsed. The person next to him replied, with a commotion that huge, who wouldn't have seen it? The two in front also whispered, I'm afraid he was the one who killed it. So incredible. That was a rare hidden boss over level 40. Just being able to control it is already beyond my wildest dreams. As soon as he heard the name, Ding Shu's face darkened. That person's name is Van Triet, right? I thought Van Sa and her group were already impressive enough. I never expected there was someone even more powerful among the students. What in the world is his background? The room suddenly fell silent, and no one said a word. Suddenly, someone pushed himself up from his knees. Summon the Ding family guards. Follow me to capture the dungeon traitor. Ding Shu's father immediately spoke up to stop him. Wait a minute. Did you say before that the Q family's little brat went with him? His face turned sinister. In that case, drag the Q family into this too. Have them come along. The third master of the Ding family stood up and said, Summon the Ding family's elite guard and follow me to the traitor's dungeon. Then he suddenly spoke again. Wait a moment. Did you say before that the Q family's little brat went with him as well? He said, with a dark and terrifying expression, Drag the Q family along with us. At that moment, Van Triet appeared. He opened his system panel, and the Golden Light Barrier skill book materialized. Van Triet immediately took it out and handed it over, saying, You learn this skill book. It doesn't have a level requirement. The others stared at the book in astonishment. Van Sa also spoke up. That's a legendary grade skill, and you're just giving it away like that? Van Triet replied, It's a specialized skill for shield bearers. I can't learn it. This is the same skill your great-grandfather used to use. Hearing this, Van Sa smiled and said, But it's true that you're not lacking in powerful skills. She shrugged and said, Technically, all my skills are high grade, but they're nothing compared to yours. Whether it's the skill that lets you suddenly disappear, or the one that can summon so many undead. Hearing that, he fell into a state of shock, muttering one thing over and over in his mind. The undead. I remember now. The undead I summon are created from souls. Besides me, other souls will also enter the mirror world. His eyes widened in shock as he raised his hand. Instantly, Van Triet appeared in the mirror world. Skill has been refreshed. Action in the mirror. Remaining time, 29 minutes and 59 seconds. Seeing this, Van Triet was amazed. I can use it. At that moment, a jumble of images appeared before him, and then a blurry figure gradually materialized. He spoke its name, Bon Bon. Back in the real world, Van Sa was sitting down when the girl beside her reminded her, Van Sa, we should get going. Your audience ceremony is coming up soon. Hearing that, she let out a sigh. You're right, I can't delay any longer. Even though it's much more interesting here. She then stood up from the cliff. What on earth is Van Triet up to? How could you suddenly disappear for so long without showing up at all? Are you in the mirror world right now? Before him stood a figure holding a sword, a faint soul hovering above his head. Bon Bon, I never thought we'd meet again like this. I have so much I want to tell you, too. Seeing that he'd lost all consciousness, Van Triet said regretfully. Just then, darkness enveloped Bon Bon's body. In an instant, his once gentle and pure appearance twisted into something ferocious. You can't come back. Van Triet quickly dodged away. He's really turned into a wraith, but I don't want to fight him. The shadowy wraith's body relentlessly pursued Van Triet. Van Triet's eyes flashed as he tried to see through this place. Instantly, images of Bon Bon, from when he was alive to the moment tragedy struck, appeared before him. Another image, this one from his childhood, appeared. Van Triet hesitated. It was an image of him constantly fighting with others. Van Triet realized these were the things Bon Bon had experienced. Immediately after, a scene of him being attacked from behind appeared. Din Con. Van Triet was confused. Why does his posture feel somehow familiar? At that moment, the sound of shattering glass echoed. The shards of the mirror around Van Triet broke apart, revealing Bon Bon in front of him. What on earth happened? He asked aloud. Bon Bon. But by now, he had lost all reason and charged forward to attack Van Triet. He quickly blocked the attack and shouted, Bon Bon. He didn't answer, instead continuing to slash straight at Van Triet. He quickly dodged and thought, it's only his fighting instincts left. And so, Van Triet decided to leave this place. But just then, a system notification rang out. Cannot exit the mirror world from the current area. He was stunned by this. I can't leave? Van Triet let out a sigh. It seems I have no choice but to fight. Outside, Qiu Qi, who was standing guard, was startled as a hostile group of people approached him. Oh? Why are you all alone? That Van Triet guy isn't here? Did he find out we were coming and run away? The man laughed to his cronies behind him. Well, that just takes half the fun out of it. Qiu Qi said, Din Hook, why are you people here? To level up too. The man replied, don't play dumb, little Qiu brat. Weren't you the one who snuck into my house with Van Triet to steal things? Qiu Qi said, flustered, I didn't. You're mistaken. The man continued, you think I couldn't hear your screams? Hearing this, his face froze in terror. The man raised his hand and continued, none of that really matters, because I brought you a little gift. Hearing this, Qiu Qi flinched in horror. On the other side, they had dragged his entire family before him. Qiu Qi cried out in worry, Grandpa, Grandma, second uncle, little aunt. At that moment, a woman with a worried expression appeared. It was his mother. Suddenly, Qiu Qi's grandfather roared, get on your knees, you worthless animal. Apologize to the hero's clan right now, and then apologize to young master Din Hook. He hesitated and said, Grandpa, I don't want to. His grandfather continued to scream, what did I teach you before? How are you supposed to act when you meet the Din family? Kneel. At this point, Qiu Qi lost his composure and yelled, are we, the Qiu family, destined to be the Din family's dogs for all eternity? The Qiu family fell into a stunned silence. Just then, a man knelt down and said, yes, we are the descendants of evil traitors. Being able to serve as their dogs is already a blessing. His little aunt also spoke up, trembling. Qiu Qi, are you trying to get our entire family killed? Think about your parents. His aunt continued to remind him. Think of how hard your mother worked to raise the family while your father was lost in his madness. At this, his mother's figure trembled, remaining silent. Qiu Qi heard this and said nothing. Then, he pointed behind him. Everyone, look back there. Great-grandfather came to this secret realm to resolve the impending catastrophe. It's obvious he sacrificed himself because too many people attacked him at once. He continued with a slight smile. I've been gathering information about great-grandfather for a while now, but I was still missing conclusive proof. At that moment, Qiu Qi declared with certainty, but now, I have all the evidence I need. great-grandfather was not some evil traitor to the nation. The truth is completely different from what they've been telling everyone. His entire family listened in silence to Qiu Qi's words. As long as these truths are made public, our great-grandfather's name will be cleared. We won't have to live like this anymore. He gritted his teeth and said, "The Din family has no right to treat us like this." By now, he was able to speak with absolute conviction. Grandpa's family, my uncle, my aunt, my second uncle's family. None of them deserve to die like that. Suddenly, the head of the Din family burst out laughing. It may be childish, but what he's saying is indeed the case. Dean Hook stepped forward and said, "Everything you said is the absolute truth. Your great-grandfather died precisely because he was ambushed. He wasn't some evil monster." But hearing this, his expression immediately grew guarded. The man continued, "To be precise, my great-grandfather got rich back then by ambushing Qiao En." He sneered contemptuously in Qiao Ji's face. "But who cares about that?" Old Ding cackled with glee. Qiao En was a traitor to the empire, a hideous villain. At that, his whole group of lackeys burst out laughing. He went on, "So what if I kill your crazy old man? What difference does it make if I kill people like that? You descendants of traitors are all just that pathetic." He pointed towards Qiao Ji's family. "In fact, every single one of your family members knows the truth." At that moment, every face in the family filled with terror, unable to meet his gaze. Hearing this, Qiao Ji's face was a mask of shock. The man just laughed and continued, "Otherwise, how do you think those people you reported ended up dead?" The head of the Ding family adjusted his clothes, smiled, and said, "Kneel." The entire family immediately obeyed, kneeling before him. His mother's voice was desperate. "Ah Ji, I'm begging you, please. Just admit you're wrong. Stop resisting. It's useless." Her face was now streaked with tears. She said, "I really don't want to lose my son. Not after my husband has already gone mad." Her voice broke into sobs. "I really can't bear it." Hearing this, Qiao Ji stood trembling with rage. He unconsciously remembered his mother's once radiant smile. "Ah Ji, don't pay any attention to them. You're the best." In the present, another goon suddenly burst out laughing. Losing his patience, Ding Shu kicked out at Qiao Ji, sneering, "Still dragging your feet? Don't you know what's good for you? Whether you want to or not, you're going to kneel." But just then, our hero suddenly raised his hand and blocked the kick. Immediately after, Qiao Ji used the momentum to grab his leg, hoist him into the air, and then slam him brutally onto the ground. Qiao Ji glared at them and said with absolute determination, "I will never kneel again." Ding Shu snorted, then let out a breath. He immediately drew his weapon. "An improvement. You dare to raise a hand against me?" He charged forward, roaring, "Let me remind you how to be a proper punching bag." But this time, Qiao Ji didn't hold back at all, landing a direct punch straight to his face. Ding Shu was stunned by the blow, completely bewildered. How? Just then, Qiao Ji summoned his shield. He spoke softly. "Mom, we are the descendants of a hero." Seeing this, the head of the Ding family scowled in anger. "What?" Ding Shu was completely dazed, clutching his face. How was this possible? He ground his teeth in jealous rage. How could even times suddenly get stronger? He instantly lost all reason and charged at Qiao Ji. "You're supposed to be a punching bag. From the day you were born, you've been nothing but a damn punching bag." He swung his weapon wildly. On what grounds? But Qiao Ji easily punched him square in the face again, smashing it into the dirt. Qiao Ji looked down coldly and said, "I am not the same person I was before." Meanwhile, in the mirror world, Yun Che was fighting Bon Bon. As he fought, Yun Che thought, "This is Bon Bon in his prime form. Right now, I'm still far weaker than him." He was now activating his shield, preparing to attack. Yun Che calculated silently, if he wasn't a defense-type class, and wasn't currently unconscious, I would have been overpowered in an instant. He quickly leaped back. Yun Che jumped high into the air, dodging Bon Bon's attack, but I was the one who taught him all his fighting techniques. He reversed his momentum and attacked Bon Bon, which means I know every single one of his weaknesses. However, the reality was that his strength stat was still incredibly high. It was a defensive build, after all. After reaching a job class level higher than 60, even stacking Trickster's blade wouldn't deal much damage. Suddenly, his entire body erupted in fierce flames. Yun Che quickly activated his legendary grade skill, Golden Light Shroud. He dodged the flames. Yun Che frowned in annoyance. What a pain! An explosion of fire erupted behind him. Elsewhere, outside, another battle was raging. The goon charged aggressively, a mongrel like you, causing all this chaos. Qiaoji quickly blocked with his shield, and immediately followed up by slapping the guy hard across the face. And just like that, in front of everyone, Qiaoji charged forward and beat the man to a pulp. On the sidelines, the head of the Ding family began to gather his power. "Ah, Shu," he sneered. "You can't even beat this little brat from the Qiao family now?" He immediately rushed towards Qiaoji. "How about I vent some of that anger for you?" At incredible speed, his fist collided with Qiaoji's shield. A blinding light flashed. The old man was startled. What is this? A golden circle now surrounded them. It blocked him from getting inside. He instantly recognized it. This is the golden light shroud. From inside the barrier, Qiaoji's voice rang out. "You just stand there and watch. So much for a family of heroes. You're nothing but cowards who don't even dare to fight one-on-one." With that, he unleashed a continuous barrage of attacks, radiating a brilliant light. Meanwhile, Yunche was in the middle of a fight, and he leaped into the air. The golden light armor, being a legendary grade skill, had a defense that wasn't dependent on the user's own defensive stats. Yunche quickly swooped down. As long as it didn't take a hit exceeding twice its upper limit, it could withstand at least 10 attacks. A brilliant golden light enveloped him, but at the same time, it was a skill that consumed energy. At this moment, the golden light began to show signs of cracking. Even the smallest amount of damage would drain its power. Soon after, the defensive layer shattered. Once its energy was depleted, any accumulation of 10 hits would break it. The old man cursed under his breath. "You little bastard. So what if you have the golden light armor?" He looked down at him and sneered. "I wouldn't even glance at the trash that bastard Qiaoan used." Qiaoji didn't back down, retorting, "If my great-grandfather were still here, you'd be on your knees begging for mercy." Hearing this, the old man immediately unleashed an attack. Qiaoji quickly used his shield to protect himself, while Dingshu was thrown forward. The old man mocked. Relying on a weakling who died in a low-level secret realm? The third head of the Ding family stomped on the ground and roared. Even if he came here, the ground immediately shattered and rose up. "Gravity crush," he continued. "He'd still have to kneel." In an instant, Qiaoji's entire body was covered in wounds, with blood gushing from his mouth and body. The old man advanced on him with his weapon, looking like a demon. "Let's see how you'll stand after I chop off both of your legs." He immediately leaped up, preparing to strike. The young man's mother suddenly ran out, pleading, "Third family head, Qiaoji is still young and doesn't know any better. Please, spare him." She sobbed uncontrollably. "I'm kneeling before you now. You can do whatever you want to me." Seeing this, the old man chuckled softly. "If that's the case, then how about this, you little brat?" Facing Qiaoji's resentful glare, he continued, "If you don't kneel, I'll cut down your mother." The old man suddenly changed his mind again. Forget it. It's not like there's a shortage of people to cut down anyway." The man named Ding swung his weapon back. Seeing this, the young man panicked. "Wait, In the next moment, a shockwave echoed out, and the area was obscured by dust and smoke. Everyone present stared at the scene before them, their mouths agape in shock. The man named Ding stared blankly at what was in front of him as a phantom image appeared. He stammered, "You're Qiaoan?" Qiaoji's mother saw the figure and stammered, "Grandfather." The others also panicked. "Qiaoan has appeared again? Impossible. How can we see you? You're dead. How could you possibly come back to life?" Meanwhile, Qiaoji's family mumbled, "That form. It looks more like an undead spirit." Yunche's voice rang out. You all looked down on him so much in the past. He now stood beside Qiaoan's undead spirit, so he had no choice but to crawl his way back from hell to settle the score with all of you. At that moment, everyone present stared, stunned, at the undead spirit before them. No one could believe their eyes. The old man from the Ding family burst out laughing, putting on a ghostly act. "Get him for me." Hearing his command, his underlings immediately raised their weapons and charged forward like madmen. They all attacked the undead spirit's shield in unison. The undead spirit was surrounded by the men, but it showed no signs of weakening. They continuously attacked from all directions, swarming the spirit of Qiaoan. Qiaoji's grandfather watched in amazement. So strong. Is that really Qiaoan? Seeing his ancestors' technique, Qiaoji's eyes also widened in shock. This interception technique could actually block so many attacks at once. It was absolutely insane. On the other side, the old man was still full of confidence. "This is the undead you summoned, isn't it? My family used to summon piles of this trash back in the day." The third family head gripped his weapon and smirked. "Its level is only a measly 33. He immediately leaped up and slashed down. "This spirit of Qiaoan is nothing but a small fry. However, as his weapon struck, it was instantly caught by a slimy substance that radiated a dark aura. Seeing this, the third family head was stunned. Huh? Two streams of mana collided, as his hand began to gather mana for a combat skill. He then swung his weapon again. In the face of absolute power, all tricks are useless. The summon collision skill activated instantly. The third family head charged forward with a confident smile, clashing directly with the undead spirit. But in the next moment, a ring of golden light sent him flying. How annoying. It's the golden armor again. Yunche spoke up from behind. Even though Bonbon has become an undead spirit, he's still an S-rank spirit. With the golden armor, he's more than enough to keep you busy for half a day. At this point, the old man turned to the others. Charge together. We can drain its energy in an instant. But as he turned around, he froze solid. His underlings were now being swarmed and attacked by a horde of other undead spirits. At this point, the third family head began to enhance his body. This is getting a little troublesome. His entire body erupted in brilliant red flames. Raging Blaze, Chaoan, or an undead spirit, I don't care. They're just a bunch of summons. He charged forward at high speed, aiming for Yunche. All I need to do is kill the summoner. Then your summon will naturally disappear. The third family head's hand then transformed into a sharp claw. He confidently thought to himself, I'm decked out in high-grade gear from Mr. Gu. You think a punk like you can take me on? Immediately after, Van Triet vanished from his spot, completely unharmed. The third family head was bewildered. What's going on? How could he be completely unscathed? He continued to attack the spot where he stood, but the boy's image just vanished again. Seeing this, his eyes widened. He disappeared. Then, Van Triet suddenly reappeared. From above, he instantly plunged his sword into the third family head's back, giving him no time to react. The man immediately used his mana to blast Van Triet away. Van Triet glanced over at Q Ann and said softly, Bon Bon. Tu Lin then pulled out her sword. Immediately after, Van Triet used Tu Lin Q-On's sword as a launching pad. In a single motion, he slashed straight through the third family head's body. The man looked at Van Triet and couldn't help but curse, but Van Triet quickly turned back around. With a piercing gaze, he raised his sword and, using his incredible speed, landed a dozen slashes on the man's body. A moment later, the third family head screamed in horror, "My arm!" His arm fell to the ground, completely severed. Panicked, he immediately turned and screamed, "Healer, heal me!" But before the third family head could find a way to restore his arm, Van Triet appeared in a flash. The man instantly activated his gravity crush, causing rocks and earth to erupt from the ground. He roared, "Get away from me!" But Van Triet simply vanished again, reappearing in another location like a phantom. He looked at the third family head and asked coldly, "How does it feel? Are you scared yet?" The man ignored him and just kept screaming, "Healer, why aren't you healing me yet?" But on the other side, that healer had already been attacked and killed by Tu Lin. One by one, all of his subordinates fell to the ground at Tu Lin's hands. He stammered, "Since when?" Standing amidst his undead summons, Van Triet said, "Did you really think my undead have the same power they did back in your house?" Van Triet activated reverse evil soul possession, smirking as he said, "Sustained by a legendary grade skill. They are far beyond what those graveguards dropped by the Wanderer Lord could ever handle." Seeing this, the man's face turned pale with terror. Immediately, the third family head turned to flee, cursing to himself, "Damn it, run!" But just then, a massive sword slammed into the ground, blocking his escape route. He ran in another direction, only to be blocked again. Only then did the third family head feel true fear as he turned to look back. At that moment, massive figures began to rise from the earth beneath his feet. Van Triet had now entered his possessed state, unleashing the signature skill of the Sword Guard class, Absolute Sword Shield Formation. He walked towards the man, saying, "No one below S rank can escape this. You can try." At that moment, the man pulled something out and yelled, "Don't come any closer." The third family head quickly continued, "What I'm holding is a void bomb. It's an S-rank item my father gave me. If this thing goes off, with your current health pool, you're dead for sure." Van Triet's expression didn't change as he calmly looked at him. Van Triet said nonchalantly, "Set it off." Hearing this, the man shrieked in panic, "Are you trying to die? With my health. Even if it explodes, I can survive. But that Tu Lin will keep coming. And even if you blow up Bonbon, I can just resurrect him." In his possessed state, Van Triet appeared behind the man in an instant. "As for me," he said with an ice-cold gaze as he swung his sword down, "you won't even get the chance to set it off." Van Triet directly chopped off the man's remaining arm with his sword. The void bomb fell to the ground. Van Triet said coldly, "Kneel." Now armless, The man silently knelt on the ground in terror. Witnessing this, Qiu Qi was overjoyed. On the other side, Din Hook, who had been beaten to a pulp, watched while crying. Van Triet stepped on the man's back with utter contempt. He asked mockingly, "Tell me, do you think you have any value left at all?" A moment later, Van Triet opened his inventory to check. There was quite a bit of miscellaneous loot, including hundreds of life potions. He checked the item's description. Life potion restores 100 health points over 10 seconds. Effect cannot be stacked. Looking at the item, he remarked, "But with the recovery rate of this life potion, even if you had used it back then, it would have been a drop in the bucket. You still would have died." At that moment, Van Triet looked over at Tu Lin. He recalled that after he killed the man, his soul had appeared in the mirror world, so he conveniently made him into an undead summon. Van Triet thought to himself, "So it's true. I can acquire high-level undead by killing people." Then he looked at Din Hook, who was lying on the ground, foaming at the mouth. "But I'll let him live for now. He'll be useful later." At this time, Qiu Qi's family was watching Van Triet from a distance, remarking, "To be so young, yet so powerful." He looked towards Qiu Qi and his mother and said, "He was the one who guided A Qi." What? By now, A Ji's mind had truly become much stronger. Just then, a family member asked nervously, "But what's going to happen to us now?" He fretted. "The third master is dead. The Ding family will definitely come for revenge. We're dead for sure." The more he spoke, the more terrified he became. Even if that young man is strong, there's no way he can survive after going against a hero. The hero, who could kill our ancestor decades ago, can only be stronger now. Van Triet understood this perfectly well, thinking, "He's right. If what happened here gets out, I won't have much time left to level up." He thought of the man they called a hero. "I have to level up quickly to be strong enough to deal with that bastard, Ding Kun." At that exact moment, the system announced that Van Triet had gained a level. He was a little surprised to hear it. "I leveled up?" With that thought, Van Triet immediately commanded his undead spirits to fly off. Looks like sending these undead out to farm monsters is pretty effective. Following his command, the undead began to slay monsters. Van Triet thought, based on the undead's current level and equipment, they can completely dominate this place. And just like that, all the monsters were easily defeated by the undead. Van Triet also felt that this secret realm was no longer enough to support his rapid leveling process. Right now, he was thinking through the eyes of his undead, Qiao En. This is why I sent them away. There's another, more important reason. Just then, undead Qiao En had found the boss of this secret realm. Immediately, the undead lunged forward, launching a surprise attack on the monster. Unlike a wandering field boss, this hidden boss, the lord of the secret realm, was the very core of the entire realm. And so, undead Qiao En charged, activating its sword shield absolute domain. "As long as I kill it, the entire secret realm will be conquered, and then it will naturally disappear." Elsewhere, the entrance to this secret realm was being guarded by teachers. Earlier, the Qiao family members were forced into the realm by Third Master Ding. They were definitely seen. If the Qiao family members walk out of here alone now, they will definitely be under suspicion. Therefore, the only way is to directly conquer the secret realm and make it vanish. Only then can the Qiao family escape in the ensuing chaos. So, undead Qiao En relentlessly attacked the realm's boss. This way, the Ding family will have no way to confirm Third Master Ding's death, which means I can buy myself more time. Right after that, he proceeded to gain another level. The system announced he had defeated the secret realm's lord, completing the conquest of the realm. As soon as the announcement finished, the people there sensed something strange. They cried out, "The secret realm. It's starting to disappear." Van Triet walked over and told them, "The realm's disappearance will cause chaos. Faced with Third Master Ding's disappearance, the Ding family won't be able to react quickly." He turned and said to them, "After you all leave during the chaos, you won't be in any danger for a short while." Van Triet continued, his eyes calm. "But if you're ever truly investigated and pressured, just put all the blame on me." The people there were stunned by his words. As the scenery of the secret realm gradually faded away, Van Triet also summoned his undead. Just then, the progress bar for the mirror world appeared again. He was surprised to see it. A whole slew of points were added for Van Triet, along with several items. Seeing this, he thought to himself, so the experience points needed to level the mirror world to 3 can only be earned by killing secret realm bosses? The last time the mirror world leveled up, it gave me a massive boost. If I level it up again, I can definitely close the power gap with Ding Kun quickly. Outside, a group of men were guarding the secret realm's gate. with serious expressions. One man couldn't help but sigh. Do we really have to be this serious? He scratched his head and said, who would dare trespass into a private secret realm like this? Why don't we just sneak in a game of cards? But at that moment, Van Triet appeared silently behind the man. Then, he walked right through the gate. The man felt something strange and turned his head to look back, wondering, why did I feel like someone was behind me? Must have been my imagination. By now, Van Triet was already inside the gate, calculating, the civilian guards are at most level 30. These private secret realms have almost no defense against me. And just like that, Van Triet passed through without any obstacles. The further he went, the more he told himself, soon. The other creatures could only look on in panicked shock in Van Triet's direction, helpless to do anything. Almost there, Van Triet thought. He was so close to being able to kill that bastard. But first, he had to stay in control. As Van Triet farmed monsters inside the secret realms, he kept telling himself, stay calm. His level continued to rise. He forced himself to stay calm so he wouldn't make any mistakes. Van Triet continuously leveled up with every monster he killed. Then he would kill the secret realm's lord, and his level would go up by one more. After killing another monster, Van Triet stood tall and looked up at the sky, calm. In the daily papers, a series of reports appeared about private secret realms being maliciously conquered. At the same time as these reports, with that, his mirror world skill experience also increased by 5,000 points each time, and this process repeated itself endlessly. Soon after, a new article was published. Recently, a mysterious party has been sabotaging secret realms, with many private dungeons being maliciously and secretly conquered. The police department is taking this matter very seriously and has assigned high-ranking officers to investigate. At that moment, they were reading the article in another location when someone spoke up. Was this the work of that Wen Che kid? Grandpa Kiao looked down at the article, equally stunned. So many secret realms were suddenly conquered. This must be related to the secret realm we visited last time. At this thought, he broke out in a cold sweat. At this rate, the Ding family's attention will be drawn to him. Immediately after, Grandpa Chiao realized, he's doing all of this for us. Otherwise, we definitely wouldn't have been able to escape from that place. After the Kiao family read the article, the second son spoke. This place is several days' journey from the Ding family's home and is very secluded. We barely managed to cover our tracks. He was fraught with worry. On the other side, two people were chatting cheerfully. Now that we're here, we don't have to worry anymore. That's right, we're finally safe. We might have actually escaped the Ding family. But just then, a loud noise erupted from outside. An explosion made all four of them whip their heads around in shock. Figures approached from the outside, their voices dripping with scorn. Escape us? The newcomer was none other than Ding Hao, the second master of the family. He spoke contemptuously. Did you really think we would chase after that one criminal? Even if you had no connection to him, the mere act of daring to flee from the Ding family, he glared viciously at them and said, means I had to come and pay you a little visit. Besides, are you underestimating the hero's family? He then stepped down and walked inside, saying, not to mention you delusional, wishful-thinking traitors. He shouted angrily, we've already tracked down that criminal's whereabouts. And at that very moment, Wen Che was at the gate of another secret realm, the hero's secret realm. By now, Wen Che had reached level 42. He stood with his hands in his pockets and said, Ding Kun, I'm here for you. Wen Che gazed into the distance, deep in thought. The private dungeons he had conquered before were at most level 30, so their leveling efficiency had diminished. But higher-level secret realms, like the hero's secret realm, were managed by the state, with the military patrolling a 2-kilometer radius. No one could get close. And this time, his mirror world skill could only scout a 200-meter radius. It was impossible to sneak into these secret realms without being detected. It seemed he could only rely on her. Yunsha had a mischievous glint in her eye. So, you asked me here because you want me to get you in? No can do. I don't know how much you know about my identity, but even I can't get in without an entry pass. The moment Yunsha finished speaking, Wen Che immediately pulled out 2 entry passes and held them up. Yunsha took the passes, a bewildered look on her face. I came prepared. These temporary passes require an escort to bypass inspection and investigation. So you're trying to circumvent the Ding family and enter this secret realm without being detected. Why? He pointed toward the secret realm, his voice hesitant. In that traitor's secret realm. I saw what happened to Qiaowen. If Qiaowen isn't as evil as the propaganda claims, then there might be something wrong with the original betrayal incident. I want to help you, to help the Qiao family clear its name. I want to find the hero and get the story straight. Yunsha raised an eyebrow, exasperated. Do you take me for a fool? You have no connection to her, so why would you risk offending a hero for Qiao En? Not to mention, you had already snuck into the Ding family's mansion before this. Did you somehow prophesize what would happen to Qiao En and steal these passes in advance? Furthermore, not long ago, Old Man Ding and that traitor's secret realm caused trouble for you and Qiao En, but then they disappeared and still haven't been found. This clearly doesn't look like you're seeking to get the story straight with the hero. Yunsha leaned in close and lowered her voice, continuing, it looks more like you have hostile intentions toward him. And then there's your name, Wen Che, surname Wen. Could you be related to that traitor from back then, Wen Che? He shrugged, feigning innocence in his reply. Isn't your surname Wen too? Could it be that you're also related to the traitor, Wen Che? Hearing this, Yunsha quickly denied it, saying she wouldn't do something like that. Yunsha's eyes fell, a hint of sadness on her face. The truth was, her surname wasn't Wen. She had just changed her name to avoid being bothered. A smirk played on Wen Che's lips, his voice laced with amusement. Then how do you know my surname is really times Wen? Yunsha retorted irritably. Aren't you afraid I'll report you? This isn't the attitude of someone asking for a favor. If I report you directly to the military, you'll be dead for sure. Wen Che lowered his head slightly, remaining silent. A moment later, he looked up, his voice ringing with conviction and resolve. I believe you won't do that. Yunsha was stunned, her eyes widening in surprise. Wen Che stepped closer, but she tried to back away. I believe that a person like you, who would stand up for students in a dangerous secret realm, would not help the Ding family. This is a diary I stole from the Ding family's home. You can see for yourself just how many evil deeds the descendants of the hero, Ding Kun, have committed, using his hero ancestry as an excuse to bully innocent girls and commit all sorts of disgusting acts. Van Sa, holding the book, replied with a scornful tone. Just for this. Well, you've miscalculated. She doesn't care about that stuff. On the contrary, it's you, who I thought was so composed, who's so easily placing your life in her hands. You're quite naive. You've never been betrayed before, have you? Van Triet's eyes were filled with contemplation as he chuckled faintly, as if asking himself, betrayal. Huh? Van Sa crossed her arms and turned slightly, her voice faltering a bit. You. Van Triet lowered his head, his face cold and expressionless, and slowly continued. What does it matter if I have or not? I haven't reached the point where I can't trust others because of it. He strode forward confidently, the dry leaves swirling in the tense air, and I'm even more certain that her nature isn't evil. Van Sa's face turned pale, sweat pouring down like rain. But you don't exactly look like a good guy either. If you really trust her that much, then follow her and see if I don't turn around and sell you out. Van Sa quickened her pace, putting distance between herself and Van Triet, while he silently followed behind. Van Sa bit her lip and glanced back, surprised that even at this stage, he still considered her a good and trustworthy person. A hero has been waiting for several days. Is that you, Miss Sa? We were told that Miss Van Sa could enter directly, but why isn't she with the old master of the Din family? The old master just entered the secret realm. Is that person in the cloak her bodyguard? Van Sa answered with a cold expression. There's no need for suspicion. This is the person the old master mentioned before he went in. His entry pass was temporarily stolen, so we have to be extremely careful. Not being suspicious of her? Then what do you call this? An interrogation? The man suddenly stood up straight and explained hastily. Of course not. It's mainly because we received a security alert. A malicious criminal who targets secret realms has recently been heading towards the hero's secret realm. Van Sa glanced at him and smirked inwardly with satisfaction. A worried look crossed the man's face. He was only concerned for her safety, just following regulations. If the bodyguard had been replaced, Van Sa breathed a sigh of relief, having shifted the focus off herself, and turned to whisper, he's insisting on investigating that person. She moved closer, wrapping an arm around Van Triet's neck, startling him. Fine, just let them check. So he thinks she can't recognize her own bodyguard? Maybe she's been swapped out too. Should we investigate her as well? The man's face went white as he trembled and spoke. I wouldn't dare. If Miss Van Sa is so certain, then there's surely no mistake. Please, enter. She held her head high and walked proudly ahead, while he continued to follow silently behind her. Upon entering the secret realm, Van Triet thought to himself, her status seems to be even higher than I imagined. Van Sa spoke with a firm voice. Based on your trust, I've brought you in this time. I don't care what you plan to do, but this is it. I won't be helping you any further. Van Triet immediately summoned a humanoid puppet. Thank you. Have her take this with her. Whatever I do next, they won't suspect you. Van Sa's face darkened as she replied through gritted teeth, looks like you have some conscience after all. As her figure gradually disappeared, the system panel immediately announced, the mirror world can finally be used this time. Ability after the mirror world was upgraded to level 3. System notification. You have used the level 3 mirror world to expand the anchoring area of the secret realm's domain. Van Triet fell into deep thought. The level 3 mirror world can replicate monsters from the real world's secret realm. From now on, I can freely grind monsters in the mirror world without having to worry about being discovered. He stepped outside, and the system chimed again. You have exited the mirror world. Van Triet thought to himself, what's more important is that even when I leave the mirror world, the undead can stay there and grind levels for me. To think they built an entire castle in the secret realm. For now, I can scout the surroundings first. The magnificent castle stood amidst a forest of tall spires, a splendid yet silent scene tinged with mystery. His gaze was distant, but his mind was in turmoil. According to the information in the Din family's journal, that's where Din Khan is. I know very little about him. I only know that he reached S rank decades ago, and after that, he seemed to never show his true power in front of anyone. Even Din's third master doesn't know for sure. If I had more detailed intelligence, I'd have a much better chance when I confront him. In my previous life, everyone who reached S rank was known, but he just appeared out of nowhere. Van Triet turned around, his voice full of doubt. Does it know who he is? Bonbon stared blankly, its dazed eyes fixed on him. A moment later, it automatically walked off in another direction. He felt utterly helpless. Still no good, huh? It's clear that when the mirror world reached level 3, the intelligence of the undead spirits also noticeably increased. Among them, its improvement was the most obvious, but it still hasn't reached a level where we can communicate. Perhaps if the mirror world continues to be upgraded, Bonbon will regain more of its consciousness? From within Sahoa Castle, the sound of an argument echoed out. He normally dotes on the third brother the most, so he can't just sit by and do nothing. Din An approached Din Kon. The third brother's whereabouts are still unknown. According to the Security Bureau's report, that criminal actually dared to come near this hero's secret realm. He silently sat up, his gleaming armor making no sound. The old man was still rambling on. To be able to take down number 3 so silently, he must be at least S rank. Of course, that's if he can get his class advancement certification. Suddenly, a hand pierced through Din An's chest, splattering blood everywhere. Din Khan snarled, "You're this old, and you can't even stop a brat, and you dare to lecture me on how to do my job?" His eyes widened in horror, his face pale with pain. A cold glint flashed in the old man's eyes. This kid just reached S rank and got his class advancement request. He wouldn't even be able to withstand a single blow from me. It was hard enough for him to keep a useless piece of trash like this around, supposed to take care of his grandson. But not only did he lose his man, now he's expected to clean up his mess. Do you have any idea? Losing number 3 isn't just losing a relative. It's like losing several years of my own life. You hear me? Din Hengan sat arrogantly on top of a man. He ordered his wolves to attack the people. Loot them faster. Hurry up and take everything. The ferocious wolves snarled, causing a little girl to burst into terrified tears. Din Nyangan said, with a sneer, "Once you're eaten, you'll be gone for good." A person in a cloak approached and offered a suggestion in a low voice. "Young master, your pets haven't had any meat in days. Perhaps we should." Meanwhile, Van Triet was hiding in a corner, observing everything. Compared to this place, the Din family outside the secret realm was incredibly restrained. His eyes turned fierce, radiating a chilling, killing intent. "Do I have to reveal myself?" As if realizing something, Van Triet turned around. Bonbon was blazing with fury, his whole body surrounded by streams of dark energy. His eyes were filled with sadness. Bonbon spoke in a low voice. "Even in this state, you still want to save people? Among the children in the Genius Zone, back then, you and Lan Kan were the kindest and the strongest. That's why I took you two as my disciples and trained you. I hoped that after you became stronger, you could help others. But in the end, it was I who ruined you, who turned you into what you are now." Suddenly, Bonbon spoke. "Lan Kan." Van Triet was confused. "What did you say?" he asked in surprise. "Have you regained your consciousness?" Bonbon struggled to speak. "Lan Kan is Din Kun." Hearing this, Van Triet's eyes widened in utter shock. Elsewhere, the man named Din Kun heard the familiar name Van Triet. He assumed whoever was using it was intentionally provoking him. He never expected to hear that name again after so many years. A sinister smile spread across his face. "Let's see who dares to impersonate my beloved master." The scene changes. Din Ngan is doting on his monsters. You're all my good little babies. I've been busy taking care of my other pets these past few days. You all must be starving, right? Then, he maniacally pointed at the people lying all over the ground. The children sobbed endlessly next to their injured relatives. Din Ngan commanded madly, "Anyway, I'm bored of playing with them. Eat them all." Following his order, his monsters went berserk and lunged at the innocent people. But suddenly, they were all sliced by deep gashes. The one who appeared was Van Triet, the man who would exterminate all evil. His cold eyes flashed with contempt. Looking at the sword in his hand, Van Triet was stunned, his heart in turmoil. "Lan Kan, how could you be Ding Kon? How could you possibly be Ding Kon?" A man stepped out to block for Din Ngan. "You intruder, you have no sense. How dare you come to the hero's territory to die?" But Van Triet's eyes remained dazed. "How could you be Din Kon, the one who raised this scum?" Memories flooded back. Van Triet remembered when he was teaching them. Because their power surpasses the rules of professionals. This is no longer the era of knights. But as a descendant of a knight, I still wish to pass on something. Under my guidance, your strength will definitely surpass that of ordinary professionals. If you still wish to continue learning from me, you must remember the following points. First, you must be humble. There is no difference between yourself and others. Be polite and respect everyone. One time, when receiving items, a child showed a dissatisfied attitude, and Van Triet immediately hit him on the head as a lesson. Then he took out other rewards as encouragement. Back in the present, Van Triet was relentlessly cutting down the monsters. The mage screamed in disbelief. This attack power. How is this possible? But in contrast, Van Triet's face remained cold, laced with anger. He cursed under his breath. "That's all my level 30 equipment." And then Din Ngan commanded again. "You damn commoner, show him the difference in our power levels." But no, Van Triet was not afraid at all, and continued to charge forward like a demon. He recalled the memories of what a knight should be. Second, no compassion. Be kind to the weak, especially the helpless. Always fight against violence and injustice with compassion. Back then, I saved you all from that slave organization. You two were once victims, so you can understand the helplessness of the weak. You must make the most righteous judgments. In the present, the man spoke with contempt. "Having fun striking our shadows, are you? Which makes me very happy. If you like that, there's still plenty more for you to cut down." Van Triet's eyes blazed with even greater fury and resentment. Din Ngan continued to provoke him. "But you always seem to be wearing that same angry face, don't you? Could it be because of these lowlifes? Now that's interesting. I wonder what kind of expression you'll make after you've cut us down, only to discover you were hacking away at times all along." At the same time, the power in Van Triet's sword surged relentlessly. He channeled every ounce of his emotion and charged forward with a desperate desire to strike them down. The man was struck and cried out in terror. "Impossible! How could you see through it?" Van Triet remembered the rules. 3. Be heroic, fearless, and brave. When facing the secret realm, you must not yield, but fight for justice. Back then, the children had cried out, "Old man, we almost died. That was way too dangerous." He had replied calmly, "Relax. To be honest, I was standing right beside you, watching the whole time." Now, Din Ngan clutched his wound and screamed, "This guy's a little strong, you useless piece of trash. Don't you know how to use illusion magic? Stop him for me. Buy me some time to escape. If anything happens to me, my grandfather will deal with you." The surrounded mage retorted, "Without my illusions, things are very difficult for a spellcaster like me." He began to frantically search for his silhouette. Where did he go? And in that very instant, Van Triet appeared behind him. He struck swiftly, his sharp eyes devoid of any warmth. The mage fell to the ground, begging, "I'm begging you, please spare me. You want to fight the Ding family? Then go find Din Ngan." But Van Triet was still focused on the principle in his mind, spiritual sacrifice. Just then, Bonbon dragged Din Ngan back, ignoring his screams. "What the hell are you? I am the grandson of a hero. If you lay a hand on me, I'll make sure your entire family never knows peace." Din Ngan began to panic and asked him, "What do you want with it?" Van Triet didn't answer, only affirming to himself, 5. Be honest. The rules continued to flash through his mind. 6. Be righteous. The principles a hero, an upright person, must have. 7. Have honor. And the final quality needed to be a true knight. 8. A soul. At that moment, countless sword blades were launched, and then, everything gradually fell silent. Din Ngan was defeated. Standing on the city wall, he roared his accusation. "Not only did you completely ignore my teachings, you even betrayed Bonbon. And you still allow your own grandson to commit such evil acts. Why? Just then, Din Kone appeared from behind him, wondering, "What do you mean? Why? There are many interesting things inside my secret realm." The scene instantly descended into chaos as explosions went off one after another. Billowing smoke gradually obscured everyone's vision. At that moment, Van Triet was slowly recovering the spiritual energy inside his body. He spat out a mouthful of blood and screamed with a voice full of resentment. Why? Opposite him, Din Koi walked forward, choosing to remain silent. Suddenly, Van Triet pulled a pile of objects from his body. Seeing them, Din Koi wondered aloud, "Mirrors?" And then, as fast as the wind, Van Triet rushed forward, appearing right beside him. All his pent-up emotions were unleashed in a single punch. Van Triet roared, "Why did you betray me?